I'm feeling cleaner than I ever would be. It's cooler than Antarctica's weather would be. Damn, I think my swagger is a weapon to me. And dudes don't count you off the record to me. So don't be stepping to me, trying to shake my hand. I'm already the man, ain't trying to make your band. I feel the fact that I'm real, just make them mad. I be smoking helium to inflate my swerve. I'm fact that I'm real, just make them mad. I be smoking helium to inflate my swerve. I'm fly, yes, I'm high, yes. Every lady wanna get to this guy, yes. Go out tonight, I just might, yes. Style cleaner than yours, so don't buy, yes. I'm so debonair, so debonair. 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 You're not really seeing me, dog. Real talk. You feeling whacker than you ever would be. In mind, you think you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Guys, I really want to get to a conversation that's going to be very serious. Hold on, this might mess up my live real quick. I want to change my Wi-Fi. All right, so I want to get into a very serious conversation when it comes down to T.S. Madison, Just Hilarious, and Tasha K. I don't think I even have anything from Tasha K right now, but what I do want to talk about is this conversation and what this really means for our community. When I say community, I mean the Black community. So I want to definitely jump into this conversation. But before we do that, let's take care of the business of this channel. Please join my tribe and stay by my side. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Tell one of your friends or a lot of your friends to subscribe to the channel as well. I want you guys to be very open-minded. And if you have anyone who has been talking about this, like, please share this live because I want all opinions. I want to talk about this very seriously. So I know I'm really messing up my intro, but I'm very serious about this conversation. So if you know someone who's been talking about this, share this link. I'm definitely going to drop the link for this as well today because I want to hear all opinions. I want to really have a really serious conversation about this. But, you know, turn your notifications, turn them on all, like the video, share the video, share the video. Comment down below if you are tuning in late. And if you are not tuning in late, still comment down below and then come over here and comment in the chat. When I drop the link, click the link, okay? Because I want to talk about this. I think it's very important. So let me play the intro. Let's get into it. Let's go.
I'm fly, yes, I'm high, yes. Every wanna get to this guy, yes. Go out tonight, I just might, yes. Style cleaner than yours, so don't buy, yes. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair.
All right, y'all, I am back. Okay. We don't do a lot of serious conversations like this over here, but I just feel like because I am part of the community, it's very important to talk about this. And I think there's some misconceptions, I think that's the right word, to say so that we can really have a good conversation. Let me say what's up, everybody's in the channel. Let's get into it. What's going on to Miss Jacob Trey? She says, hey, SoDeb. Happy Friday. Hope all is well with you. I'm interested in your take on this very heavy topic. Shout out to Shy Town. She said this is about to be a hot topic. Please be respectful in the chat and to each other. Hit the like and subscribe button and sit back and enjoy the content. What's going on to Winnie267? Hey, SoDebNair in chat. What's going on to Jonathan Ford? Good evening. What's going on to Jay Esco? Hey, SoDeb with the champagne glasses. What's going on to Sparkle? Hey, SoDebNair, my air up there. I love when you say that. What's going on to my good old friend? Hey, friend, healthier than Mel. What's going on to Unwind with Miss Messy? SoDeb, Maz in chat. What's going on with you? Let's see who else we have here. What's going on to Joy? Hey, SoDebNair, thank God I'm here. Who else? What's going on to Dustin Butler? What's going on to Shay B? I'm here for it. Love you, my friend. Okay. Unwind with Mrs. said, y'all have a great night. I like this year. Thank you so much. All right. So what's going on, Cheryl? What's going on, Cheryl? Hey, so Deb. All right. So let's jump into this conversation. Okay. I know this is a very hard, hot topic. Turn this on you. But I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes down to this conversation about cis women and trans women. As you guys know, there are also cis men, and heteros. I mean, gay men, whatever. There's trans men. That's there. Okay. So I want to pull up the few articles that we do have with Jess Hilarious, and T.S. Madison. So let me do that. But I want to start where I feel like this all started from. Okay. So let's start here. Okay. We have the Jasmine Brand here. Jess Hilarious claims a male celebrity offered to fly her out after mistaking her for a transgender woman. This is from T.S. Madison. It says, let me make one thing clear. I stood up for and fought tooth and nail for Black women. I have put on a lot of Black women. I put a lot of Black women on use my Black women on. Use my platform to uplift Black women as well as let it be known that I am not a female, but I am a Black trans woman. So I am addressing this as such. Let me put an at on it. Okay. So let's start there. Let me put a 1 in the chat if you guys think that T.S. Madison has never disrespected. Which one is hilarious? What was the part I wanted to do? Hold on. I didn't even read this part. Hold on. But that was just hilarious. So do you guys believe that T.S. Madison says, I've stood up for and fought tooth and nail for Black women. I have not put a lot of Black women on. I put a lot of Black women on, use my platform to uplift Black women as well as let it be known that I am not a female, but I'm a Black trans woman. Do you guys think that? Put a 1 chat if you think that T.S. Madison is telling the truth. Okay. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to give you guys, I don't even think I have. Because all my timers are very long. Let me do my credits for people who have supported the channel. I give you guys 30 seconds.
Damn, them haters still mad. I done took off while they steady dragging. And I be the nagger to always keep my cash. And I always love to have a hot party bashing. Verse, I told y'all they just a mad. If you was me, 100 G's would be nothing. I see the money while you just glance. Yo scared money will never take a chance, man. I'm fly, yes. I'm high, yes. Lady, wanna get to this guy, yes. Go.
Okay. So we have Sparkle saying 1. We have Jay Esco saying 1. We have Chi-Town saying 1. We have V. Hargis saying 2. No, I think she uses them. Okay. All right. We're going to navigate this because I really want to talk about this. Let's play this clip. Oops, wait. Shoot. I have to mute it.
Okay, so it's a cliffhanger. So this guy's a celebrity. Blue check in the DM. Yup, this nigga DM'd me and wanted to fly me out so I could fuck him. In the ass? Yes, but not with a dildo. This nigga thought I was a man. He really did think I was he thought I was a transgender. He thought I was a competition, didn't she? He was very drunk what he was. What the fuck is wrong with him? Very direct with it. I was like, this is crazy. Wow. Yes. I would like to know this nigga's name later. Woo! Let me ask you this. If he made the deal seem pretty juicy, let's say you single and maybe offered you $100,000. Would you have put a strap on a fucking ass? Absolutely. What do you mean? Oh, wow. Girl, yeah. I was trying to go find a dick.
So can we just stop here? She knew that this man who thought she was a trans person wanted to deal with her. And I don't remember what this girl's name is that she's doing this interview with, but she was down for basically pegging this man. And she practiced. She was trying to figure out how to do it. So I just want you guys to like travel this road with me. She's open to the fact that this guy who hit her up, who thinks she's a trans woman, wanted to deal with her, and she's open to dealing with him and practicing to be a trans person. Can we put a 1 in the chat if we are understanding that part? And if that's problematic, or 2, like I would do it too. A 1 in the chat if you think that her practicing to be a trans person because this man went to pay her to have sex with him, thinks she's a trans person, or 2, is that problematic? The Harger says, for the right amount of money, I thought she was saying. But is that okay? Because where we're going, and she's offended about the cis woman thing, is that okay? Okay, we have Winnie says 1. Sparkle says 2. Chi-Town says extremely problematic. Biharka says no. Okay. So I want to travel slowly down this road because for me, I just feel like if we're going to have problems, let's have real problems as Black people because we're going to go through an entire situation as we grow into this conversation, guys. And hopefully we can come to some type of an agreement when we get done with this. All right. I'm surprised that Sparkle said 2, but we're gonna go. We're gonna ride it.
It was money involved. I just ever used the strap on somebody? No, I was trying to practice all this, but I think I was more insulted because he thought I was a man.
So she was more insulted that she thought it was a man, that he thought she was a man, but you had a whole thought process about whether you want to do it or not. To me, that doesn't scream. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Okay. So then we get here with T.S. Madison. Now, a lot of people don't like T.S. Madison speaking out. And one thing I would say about T.S. Madison is this. J. Esco says Tasha K loves to be in the drama, and she does. We know that. One thing I will say about T.S. Madison is this, and maybe a lot of people don't watch T.S. Madison, but T.S. Madison is always, to me, this is my own personal opinion, and you guys can think whatever you want. I mean, give your own opinions about how you feel. I will not change that. I think that T.S. Madison is always pro-woman. Now, female and woman in the terms are very different. But T.S. Madison is not a female, and T.S. Madison has let that be known a million gajillion times. But she is very pro-Black, or I'll say pro-Black woman. I will say that. What's going on, Norris? Okay. Viharka says, was just trying to be funny at that point about searching ways to do it. Okay, Viharka, let's say that we don't know that, right? Is this a space to be funny in? Because what you're talking about right now, could that come back down on you? Right? All right. What's going on, Shay B? What's going on, Shay B? Sparkle says, can't wait till you drop the link. Oh my God. Yeah, I want you to come up here too as well, Sparkle. Now, Sparkle, we ain't going to be up here a very long time. I'll tell you that as well. But I want you to come up here because I do want to have the conversation. This is the only time I really wish that Tulsa could come and not have issues with this conversation as well, because Tulsa does have great insight, but then it kind of turns left all the time. But I would love for Tulsa to be here as well. Healthier friend, healthier. I was about to say my friend. Mel says, I think she was. She's a comedian. She was offered and didn't react correctly. She tried to make a joke out of it. Let's give her that. Let's give her that. Okay. Shabi says, all my people in the chat. Okay. All right. So let's move on to where we are at now with Jess. And I just want you guys to see the levels of how this works or how this has been working so we can have a real authentic conversation. So I'll read T.S. Madison's part after this. Ooh, wait a minute. I'm going to click that without doing this. All right, here we go.
When does the delusion stop? What is the difference between you and someone who has been diagnosed to be mentally insane?
Now, see, this part for me, I'm going to just be very extremely honest. When she said this part, baby, I'm already done with you. Because you cannot, what she just said was extremely problematic. So we're going to be sitting here talking about representation. She just represented trans women and having like mental issues. Baby, are you kidding me? But let's keep going.
The only difference is you don't have a straitjacket on. Stop talking out your fucking ass.
I want y'all to take what she's saying in. The only difference is you don't have a straitjacket on. This is a miserable person. Y'all can take it how y'all want to take it. Listen, unsubscribe to this motherfucking channel because it ain't gonna be good. But I'm just telling you, this is a toxic ass black woman, to be honest. And what comes out of her mouth for me, I can be a friend to a black woman like this. And we're gonna dive deep into this. So if you want to wait around, wait around. But I'm already like unsubscribed to my damn channel because I don't like this type of person right here. This is some bullshit. Because, baby, what she just did it's gaslighting. Thank you so much, Shabi, for the super chat. I appreciate you. And listen, I don't want y'all to leave this live and say, oh, he hates black women or he doesn't represent, because I'm going to drop this link. And if you don't click that link, come up here, I don't hear shit else about this conversation. And I'm not taking a side right now, but right now, what we are watching is some problematic bullshit. Okay. Mel says, that's where she lost me. She let her getting offended overcome her, and she was just talking. Thank you, Mel, for checking in where I'm checking in at. What's going on, Stu Queen? She says she was telling the truth regardless what people say. We're going to get into that. What's up, Moesha's stand account? I think Cat Williams debunked the comedian excuse. Thank you for that. He said part of comedian's job is knowing where society out of bounds are. Just as terrible as a comedian and a person. She's not even a comedian. Where's her stand-up at? Vihargis says, this is not a gag situation. It's not. I just want y'all to hear, and let's all come together and listen and hear. Astute Queen B says, I wasn't towards all trans women, just that one person. We're gonna get there. So let's keep going. But we've already what she said right now. So let's keep going.
Wake up. How are you projecting your anger on real women? Because we are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers for periods. We the only one that fucking bleed, honey. We the only ones that can give birth. We make y'all people. We make y'all. Y'all come from us. You can't be us. You will never. You're chasing something you'll never, ever get. You'll never be that.
Okay, so I want to stop here again. What's going on to Maishu in the chat? What's going on, SoDeb and fam? Just wanted to come through real quick and say, hey, what's going on to my shoe? Mel says, right, astute, but just like when SoDeb said what he said, he was only talking about specific women, but everyone was offended because they took the statement general. Thank you, Mel, for saying that. But we're about to dive into some things, okay? So let's get back into this, right? Now, I don't know any person in this world, real women, not real women, a man, a trans man, who wants to experience a damn period. I don't understand. I don't know anybody who wants to experience that. And I think that the conversation about that women don't own that was taken in the context was taken very differently. I think that when it comes down to it, it's like women, I don't know if this is like all women are black women. I'm just going to say that these are black women because that's the problematic part for me when it comes down to this. And I'm not saying that all black women are problematic. You guys know that I've had my stance on these things. I support black women, but there are just some things that I just cannot get down with, to be honest. And this is one of the things that I just cannot. Let me see what Shutdown said. Listen, if they want the period, they can have it. And Carly, and listen, I would never in my life. I saw a video of a police officer that these women gave him this thing on his body, and they gave him the levels of what periods feel like for women. When he got to like, I think it was like level 6, no, level 5, to be honest. He was already like, oh, okay, this is too much. They got to level 6, 7, 8. By 8, the man, he wanted to take it off, but they let him get all the way up to level 10. And that man was like, please get this off of me. Like he didn't want it. He didn't want any parts of that. So I don't think that even trans people are fighting for a period or childbirth, because as a trans person, from a male to female, or I think it's I don't know the correct terms. And again, I'll say this: as a person, a part of the community, we do not know all the information. We don't know the terminologies like y'all don't know. We don't know. But I would say, as a man to woman, I don't think that childbirth is a thing that trans people want, because where does the baby come from? It just come from the penis part, baby. Y'all think y'all got some pain? Let a baby come through your damn penis. Even if they do the reconstruction surgery. I think I'm gonna die. So I don't know. But let's just put that all into context. Who knows what that means, what that looks like? Okay. Shawtown says, for real, I have 4 kids, so I'm good now. Astute Queen B says they can have it all because we don't want it anymore. That's why I don't understand the battle about periods and childbirth. Like if a man, let's say me as a grown-ass man, want to have babies because it's going to come out of my penis. Want to have a baby? Why the hell would y'all be so mad about that? Y'all's opening is way bigger than mine. If they were to go through that, why would I be mad about that? I would want to watch it in real time. If I was a woman, they'd be like, baby, that's a stronger person than me. And a period, baby, absolutely not. And this is me, for me, I'm not a trans person. I don't want no period. I don't want the period pains. And I don't think that, and maybe trans people do want to experience the entire thing. Okay. But if they're saying that, like, why is it so offensive? Why is that offensive if they want to experience that? Literally, they're letting men experience the period pains at conventions. There's a whole cop who did it. So why is that so offensive about them wanting periods or not having that experience? I don't understand. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. You know what? I need this water. Hold on, y'all. Because I can have hiccups. Oof. All right. Let me read some of you guys' comments. They can never deal with that pain, and I've watched it, so we know that. Shaitan says, "So Deb, you would pass, baby. I would be dead. I don't want another one." Jason says, "Women are stronger than men. I'm a baby when it comes to baby. Me too." Astute Queen B says, "But to say we don't own womanhood is some bullshit." Now listen. What's the difference in that than this is the question. What's the difference in that than for the feminist movement where men and women are equal, where we can do everything, all those things? I think that we're taking it out of context. When we get done with this conversation, I'm going to sum this up. And I love these conversations that we're having in the chat. I'm gonna sum this up because there's one thing that we're all missing when it comes down to this. Shay B says, "Drink water upside down for the." I just drank my water, so I'm good. All right. So let's go back. Is there anything else here that I missed? Okay. T.S. Madison says there are so many real women that get mistaken for being transgender women. And that's where a lot of the anger comes from. I hope they take a good look at how transphobia affects all women. Now, I have women in my chat. When T.S. Madison said this, did y'all agree or disagree? One of you agreed, two of you disagreed. One of you agreed, two of you disagreed. She said, there are so many real women that get mistaken for being transgender women, and that's where a lot of anger comes from. I hope they take a good look at how transphobia affects all women. Do y'all agree? Do y'all disagree? Mel says, because these are things we go through and don't have a choice, they want to come and take the things we have left. Bad enough we have grown men telling us what we can do with our bodies. It's just a lot. Hidama says the feminist is trying to be respected and paid like me. Okay, V. Hargis says 2. And Astute says 2. Okay. All right. So we're going to go with the 2s right now. So we're going with the 2s because we got 2 people who say 2. All right. Was there anything else here?
The transphobia just comes out, the audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods. You don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person. But as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like, hello.
Okay, now was this T.S. Madison? Was this T.S. Madison who said this? And I wanted to play this in order because I want to ask you guys as this goes on. This wasn't T.S. Madison. T.S. Madison is like candy. Everything is T.S. Madison's fault when it comes down to trans people. For whatever reason, I don't know what the logical is for that. But whenever a trans person says something, they blame T.S. Madison. Moesha's stand account says, I'm 5'9", almost 5'10", and wear a size 11 women's shoe. Been getting called a man mainly since I started growing in 7th grade. So we have that, okay? Astute Queen B says, I'm a woman, not a cis woman. Nothing. Okay. Healthier Male says, I find it funny that she says the arrogance says it with the same arrogance. Okay. Okay, so let me break down something for you guys so you understand what's happening here. Let me bring me up the full screen. Do you guys understand why the term cis came about? Because for the LGBT, and put a 1 in the chat if you understood where it came from. For the LGBT community, I know why cis was a thing, right? So put a 1 in the chat if you know why cis woman came about. Put a 1 in the chat. Sparkle says, no, that's Angelica Rose. We going to get into it. Oh, let's get some. Okay, I got you. I'll look my dad and has never been mistaken for a man or called manly. Okay. V. Harker says, no, what is it? Moesha Stanicon says, no, 1. No, I don't. Says JB, just drop that link 1. Okay. So what you guys don't understand is that when transgender people are saying cis woman, a lot of times it's because heterosexual women are in LGBT spaces, right? So let's say that I'm into trans women. And a man who likes trans women walks up to me. I mean, I see 2 women in front of me, and I'm interested into the women that I see. I don't want a cis woman. I want a trans woman. So the separation is a cis woman and a trans woman, so that the person who is interested in the trans woman doesn't get confused. What's happening right now is that the LGBT is in mainstream right now. So what happens is that because we're all in the same space, we're using cis women in the space in general right now, because we need to understand the fact that there are men who want trans women, not heterosexual or cis women. They want trans women. So the difference is that when you're in gay clubs or even lesbian clubs or whatever it is, they say the community will say she's cis, so that the people who are looking at them will be like, understand this is a real woman, this is a cis woman, not a trans woman. So this is why you guys are getting this information. But now, because LGBT is in the mainstream, we don't want to be, we're a woman, we're not cis women. It was really to protect women when they're in our spaces as in the LGBT. It hasn't really been explained. And if you guys go over to Sherelle's World, there was a guy who he broke it down so people could understand. It wasn't to be disrespectful to women. It was so when you are in our spaces that the men who were interested in trans women knew what type of woman they were dealing with. Did anybody in the chat know that? Put a 1 in the chat if you knew that. I'm gonna read some of you guys' comments. DL never gets his information right. I can't even deal with him. We are women. This is getting exhausting. Y'all are females, but there are different types of women. There are women who are born with different parts. They're not born as female. Whatever they choose, once they, some of them get their parts, one of the parts taken off, and they keep the other one. You are born female, but woman is a term that women, whatever type of woman you are able to use. Mel says separation is she is a trans woman and I'm not a I'm not you should be able to know I'm a cis woman without labeling me that. In a gay atmosphere, that has to change though, because y'all could be like, we women, and a man may take you home and then you go home and get pregnant because the women are at the gay club. So you have to think about these things. Jonathan says, not being ignorant, but just a question. Do we need all these pronouns? When you're in gay spaces, yes, but the world is in spaces with us now. So that's why you guys are hearing things. Cis has been around for over 20, 40 years. But because the world is in our spaces now, we're in the world spaces now, they're being used and people are confused. Astute Queen Bee says they talking about science and I wasn't made in a lab. Hear what I'm saying. Take back from what you're listening to all the time and hear what I'm saying. Cis has been used before y'all heard about it, to let the men know what woman they were dealing with, because the men love the trans women. Hear what I'm saying? The trans women. They don't want a female. They want a woman that is trans. Take your bias out of what's happening here. Educate yourself on what's happening. They want a trans, not female, but a trans woman. Can we all hear that? Hargis says no. Shabby says, I go to gay clubs just for fun. Nobody gets into inquiring me about my sexuality, and that's fine by me. Are you going to the gay clubs where there are the trans people? Are there men hitting on you thinking that you're trans? Because if that's a question, they're going to want to know if you are trans or you are a actual female. Mel says, how can everyone but us choose? I'm a woman, period, and respect that way. I respect you. We're going to get into that in a minute, too. I get it if I'm in gay spaces, but if I'm not, why am I not just a woman? We're in gay spaces right now, though. Did y'all see back in the day all this gay representation on television shows, out in space that you guys were at? It was separate. We were at the gay clubs, y'all were at the straight clubs. That's what it was, but we're all integrating the same spaces. Y'all are learning cis right now, because at the straight club, you didn't have to say that. But if a trans woman came into the straight spaces, are you gonna say, oh no, this is a cis, I mean, this is a woman? Y'all gonna say she's trans. Wrong or right? Moisha Statica says the hoopla about the word cis is just people deflecting. Thank you. From the real conversation of transphobia. Thank you, Moisha Stanica. Folks use it as a way to justify not respecting trans women, gender identification, and that's what it is. Then the trans woman needs to call herself a trans cis. The trans woman doesn't need to do that in gay spaces. Like, stop, like, listen to hear and not respond. Because I'm helping y'all out in real time. We're in a different time right now. The LGBTQIA plus community was not in mainstream, but it is right now. So y'all are hearing terminology y'all never heard before. So let's hear to understand and not listen to respond. Because you could come into the gay space, go home with a man who thought he was going to a trans person and be pissed because you are a female and not a trans person. And vice versa, as a trans person, you can go into a heterosexual space, not say that you're a trans person, think that you are a female and be beat up or unalive because you're not in that space. That's what you got to understand. Thank you. Thank you, J. Esco. Pre-SoDeb. I agree. Pronouns are a sign of progression, especially in the gay community. It's not even for y'all to be honest. It's for us to make sure that when the trans people leave with a man, he understands I'm a trans and this is a cis woman. Because if they go and say I'm a woman and they get home and they found out it's a trans person, anything could happen, right? When a cis woman goes home with a man, they just go home with a man. Now, the same things could happen because, you know, men don't respect women like that, for real. But it's strategically to let men in the community know that, hey, my girlfriends are here. These are my cis women, and they are not down with the shits. Okay? They're not going with no bisexual man, no gay man, or no man who wants to be with no trans person. They want, I mean, no man would be with a cis woman. They want trans people. So hear that and stop saying and listen to the conversation. Let me go back. Moisture Standing Count says, we didn't choose to be called women either. We didn't make that word up. We just accepted it. Y'all can accept cis too, LOL. Because to be honest, as a gay man, I've been called a gay black man, a gay man, a F word, a sissy, a punk. Like all these words have been used to be for me as a black man. But I got to label myself in order for people to know in spaces with heterosexual people, listen, you know, I'm not here to come on to you. Yes, I'm a man, but I'm also gay. So they call me a gay man. You hear the conversation, were you black or were you gay first? So now I can be a gay black man. So women ain't the only people going through this conversation. But for some reason, we're pointing this out like, oh, I don't want to be classified. Well, neither do we. But y'all classify us as well. So you're not the only people that's going through this. Mel says, I clearly get it. I'm just asking. If I ask to be referred to as a woman, why can't that be respected? It is respected. But then when you meet up with a man and you're around transgender people, good luck. Because if you go home with a man who wants a transgender woman, the same thing that happens with trans women can happen to you. Again, this is not specific for heterosexual spaces. This was originally created for LGBT spaces. But now that we're all combining, we want to let it be known. I'm a trans, or this is a cis woman, period. LOL, I wouldn't first look for a dude at a gay club. See? Mel says, everyone has their own preference. I'm going to call people what they want, and they need to do the same. At the end of the day, it's about respect. But then you got to turn it around and put it on everybody, not just the LGBT community, because the heterosexual community doesn't call us what we want to be called. So if you want, in my experience, trans people are protecting themselves by saying, listen, I'm trans, or this is a cis woman, I'm an actual trans woman. Because you know what happens when they go home with a man who thought they was home with when they get found out they was with a trans person. So they're protecting themselves. Shannon says, listen, when you can push a kid out, have a cycle, go through menopause, we are not the same, but we will respect you if you respect me. I think a lot of trans people do that. But I think that we're fighting over the word cis. And I don't think that a lot of people want to go through menopause. I'm just talking about my own perspective and the trans people that I do know. I don't think they want to have a cycle. I don't think they want to go through menopause. I think that we are getting confused about the protection of heterosexual women in gay spaces. And now we're all in the same space. Astute Quimby says, I understand what you're saying, but I don't like people being cis women mess. I just don't agree because we aren't changing, they are. I told Chi-Town I didn't want to do this because I realized this is going to be the same thing over and over again. You guys are responding and not hearing. It's not about this. It's really not. Yes, you're in your everyday world. Queen Bee says, I understand what you're saying, but I don't like people being cis women mess. So come in the gay space and then go home with a man who wants a transgender person. It's going to be a mess. I just don't agree because we are changing. They are. The world's changing. We're not changing. We've been saying cis for almost 40 years when y'all are in our spaces, but now we're in everybody's spaces. So break that down. What you're saying, I understand what you're saying, but I don't like people being cis women, a mess. So let's call everybody women. Even T.S. Madison said this. Let's call everybody women. So when you go home with a trans person, because everybody's a woman, because trans people are women too. They're not females, they're women. They're respecting the females on this earth, saying, listen, I'm a trans woman, this is a cis woman. So you don't get misconstrued, because when a heterosexual man want to go home with an actual woman, listen, sir, I'm trans. I'm not a cis woman, I'm trans. He's very clear at what he's going home with. Let it make sense. Let it make sense. I want to read all you guys' comments. Chi-Town says, ain't ish cis about me, and it's not on my birth certificate. It's my choice if I want to be called something else. And if I want to change my name, it's not anybody else. So don't give me no cis. Okay. I'm gonna drop the link. I'm not even gonna argue about it. I'm trying to give you guys the basis of the situation. It's not to disrespect women. It's to protect y'all from the men who want trans or heterosexual women. And that's I'm gonna sum it up with that. Now take it how you want to take it. I'm gonna drop the link and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. I'm reading a few more comments. Mel says, I've been hearing for a whole week now, Deb. Don't think I'm not listening, but I'm expressing how I feel as well. Got you. Renee 12 said, this is a strong delusion. Okay. What are the women called who have become transgender men? They're called trans men. You don't even see a battle about trans men. Actually, the heterosexual men are fucking the trans men. So they not battling the same thing with women. They don't care about no damn periods. Can you come out of your penis? They fucking the trans men. So that's the other difference. It's like there's this stronghold on periods and birthing children. I don't know a trans person who's fighting the battle of that. Now, maybe on social media and the younger generation is coming up with that, but they can't birth no damn children. They can't have a damn period. So I would never sit around and fight a battle about having a damn period or birthing a damn child for a trans person, because I don't think that they want to. I mean, I think they want I don't want to say cis women, but the female experience. But I think that you guys have to really understand what's happening here. I think it's a lot. Sparkle, I see you. Do you want your camera on or off? I'm gonna bring y'all up one at a time because I know this is a very strong conversation, and so I see someone else behind stage too. So I'm gonna bring up Sparkle, and Sparkle, you got 3 minutes, and then we'll bring up somebody else.
It's okay. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Let me say this. God damn it! If you want to be called a natural, if you want to just call everybody by their name, put it like that. Cause see, I don't deal with this. Let me tell y'all, when I go to the clubs and I go to the straight clubs, they call me by my name, which ain't Sparkle, but they call me by my name.
Mm-hmm.
But Natural women, biological women pull me in the women's bathroom, okay?
Mhm. Wait,
So
say that again. Say that again.
natural women or biological women, since y'all don't like to be called cis, we don't like to be called fag and this, that, and the third, they pull me in the
Sparkle, you gotta
bathroom,
watch your
okay?
words. Watch your words. Watch your words.
Okay, I'm sorry. They call me the F word. I mean, they don't call me the F word and this, that, and the third. And I'm noticing this with a lot of content creators. That's why I made a PSA yesterday that the next person that misgenders me, oh, it's going to be hallelujah on your behind, because if you can't call me she, her, and hers, then call me Sparkle. Just like if you can't call SoDeb him, his, and his, him, her, him, his, and he, then just call him SoDeb. That's devil in this whole thing, because it's really ridiculous. Cis is a geographically, I think it's in the Webster's dictionary, and it's not only for women; it's for males as well.
It is.
Now,
It's this man. It's this woman.
yes, and now my problem is that you got these old fossils like Flameless Monroe, and everybody
Oh, I hate
jumping on everybody jumping on T.S. Madison, everybody, and that is that trans woman is Angelica Ross. Okay, she's softer than Flame will ever be, and the problem is that the LGBTQIA community doesn't even stick together and unify. Okay, because they have this narrative that the gays don't like the trans,
Thank
the
you.
train,
Thank you. Thank you.
the lesbians and studs don't like the gays. It's getting really ridiculous. And let me say this:
Let me
I
ask you
saw.
this, Marco. Do you think that's all a perspective of the community, or do you think that there are just some people who just don't? Because I think that when we're talking about this conversation, right, a lot of people that are on in the community, like I don't have issues with trans people, with the lesbians or anything like that. Like I support everybody, and I always say
Yeah, you're universal.
I have,
Yes, we
I
do.
have no idea what your experience is, right? Just like
I
you
don't.
don't know my experience. But
Mhm,
I don't bash the rest of the letters from the community or
mhm,
heterosexual people, because I feel like that's their journey. Like what I do though is I try to learn
mhm.
the
And
experience
educate
from
yourselves,
trans people,
exactly.
because I feel
Mhm,
like it's important to know, so I know how to address you. I know how to understand, what you've been through, because I can never understand what the trans people go through, like
mhm,
mentally, like if you want to keep the penis or you want to keep the vagina, you want to get a new, like I don't understand that part, but I'm very honest
mhm.
about that part because I don't know that experience. Well, I know about how to be a gay man. That's what I know about, right?
Exactly,
And
exactly. And everybody need
I
to
don't
stay in their
chime
bowling
in,
lane.
but I don't chime
And
into y'all's conversations. I
mhm,
learn from those things, but I would never log onto YouTube and say, "This is what the trans people go through," because this is what they told me, and this because it's not my
mhm,
experience. So
mhm,
I do have behind the scenes conversations, but I also don't speak for the other letters of the community.
mhm. But let me say this now. This is the opinions of Sparkle, not SoDev, and thank you so much, SoDev. Just no mess, hilarious. Just mess, hilarious. Let me say this to you. I believe I know what celebrity you're talking about because I have encountered that celebrity. Um, being a celebrity and dealing with a husband who's been in the news. It's crazy, but you know what? Women can't step into our territory. We can't step into their territory. We don't know what birth. We don't know what periods. We don't know what cramps feel like. Well, at least y'all don't. I had the privilege of knowing what a half a cramp feels like, and I don't want it. I don't want y'all bleeding 7 to 24 to 10. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. Okay. The problem is that everybody is trying to step into everybody's bowling alley when they can't even fix their own pins and knock down their own pins. Y'all have men knocking y'all to the wall. Y'all have men that y'all have to question, and y'all have to come to men like SoDebNair and women like myself to find out if they're dipping on the low, if they're hiding in staircases, if they're hiding in apartment buildings, if they're hiding and trying to dip and get their little willy wag contract and keep it moving. Okay, that's the problem. When y'all want y'all makeup done, when y'all want y'all hair tips, when y'all want your goddamn kids to be learn different lifestyles and learn things, this is what y'all come to. But then you have the flip side of the woman, like Jess Hilarious. And Jess Hilarious, I'm going to say this to you. You are on the Breakfast Club with Charlotte Queen, the goddess. Okay, thank you very much. One
Well,
who has an alternative.
let me ask you this, Sparkle, dude. So, what do you classify yourself as? Because I don't
I'm a
even.
transgender woman. Okay,
Okay. Do you want a period?
hell no,
Do you want to birth babies?
hell no,
Okay. And I
and
think
I don't.
that was my main point. I was like,
Yeah.
I know a lot of trans people.
Hmm.
I've never heard them say, "I wish I had a period," or "I wish I could birth a baby."
Exactly.
I've never heard that. So when we're having this conversation, like, I think that a lot of people miss this part of this conversation because, for me, like, I know a lot of trans people. Like, I live around a lot. Like, if y'all knew the work I do with trans, and I don't say it on YouTube because I know how vicious YouTube gets, and I want to make sure that I make them feel safe. But I've
Mhm.
never heard not one trans person say I want a period or birth of a baby. Like, I've never heard that.
And trust me, we don't. Because if y'all can get half of a cramp, y'all would go crazy. Y'all see why that cop went crazy. Okay? We don't want it. Y'all can have it. Y'all can keep it. God bless you. Thank you. Have your hearts, your parts, and all of your hearts. Okay? Now that's just that on that. Now, in the same token, let's get into Jess. Because you were coming from a hate standpoint. Okay? It turned from a celebrity, and then you lowered your womanhood, which is the reason why the trans Angelica Ross said what she said. Y'all don't own your womanhood because who in the hell wants to step down to try to step into the transgender category to have to please a man who's
I ain't
confused
know.
or whatever about his sexuality? Let's get into this because this is ridiculous and I've been around a long time, okay? So
Okay.
please don't let the young cuteness fool you, okay?
All
And
right.
trust me, there are many celebrities in my DM. Don't get it
Well,
twisted.
and Dee said, "Shit, we don't want periods either." And I know that. That's I'm like, I don't think nobody's like wanting those, but I saw a video of a cop where they put this thing on him and they like gave him the level. There was like three women there, and they gave them the levels of their periods. And by the time he got to like level 6, he was like, "Please take this shit off me." She was like, "No, we got to level 10." By level 10, that man almost passed out.
Almost died, and trust me, a lot of men they may need to go through a period and then maybe they'll see how women should be respected, and ain't nobody that stands up for natural women more than me. And I can say this because it was prophesied that I will be working with T.S. Madison, who I actually just saw earlier. um Everybody just stay in your damn bowling lane because I was associated with somebody on YouTube, and then once we fell out due to her decision, all the hate comes out, all the this comes out, all the that comes out. You know, it's ridiculous. If you hate somebody, stay the hell away from somebody, and that's it. Okay, because y'all choose when y'all want to antagonize people, when y'all want to bring out all this drama. You do the, it's just a mess. It's a mess. Stay in your own bowling lane, clean up your own house, and that's that. Okay, and
All
that's
right.
on period.
Well,
And let me say
I
this.
got to wrap you up,
I
Sparkle.
don't know. Let me say this one thing about Tulsa. Tulsa.
Nah, wait, no toast over here. Wait, no toast.
Okay, okay, we not good. Okay, I
All
love
right.
you. Thank you so damn because
Thank you so
it's
much,
ridiculous.
Sparkle. Yep. All right. What's up, Astute? You hear your
Hey
mic on?
babe, how you doing?
I am doing good. How are
It's
you?
been a minute.
It has been.
Okay, let me explain this to you. I want people to understand. I have no problem with anybody. You live your life the way you want to live it, that's fine and dandy.
Mhm.
But my issue is that young girl, transgender woman or whatever, I'm tired of her speaking for all transgender females
Wait, who you talking about?
because the young lady that put out that mess about women trying to safeguard menstrual cycles and womanhood. If it was not for a
Oh, okay,
woman,
okay. I don't
she
know
would
her.
not be here. I don't know her either, but I seen the video and it disgusted me. And the reason why it disgusted me is because we as black women, I can only speak as black women because that's all that I am.
Mm.
We have fought so hard in this country to come above all the shenanigans. And with transgender women doing the things and saying the things they are saying about about women in general. Like we don't own womanhood. We do own womanhood. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be born. A man can't give birth to a baby. You can be called whatever you like to be called. But the scientific term is cis. I'm not a cis. That's why I say I was not born in the lab. If I was born in the lab, then okay. But I was not born in the lab. I was born the way God wanted me to be. I understand some people do not feel comfortable in their own skin and they feel like they want to change into who they want to be. They can do that, and I don't have no problem with that either. But
can you understand that this is a term that's been used for over 40 years in
yeah, I get that.
And I think
get that.
we're looking at something right now because it's in mainstream, but LGBT was not in the mainstream at this time. So now they're like, you know what? They're going to Diddy parties. You know, let me put up my allegedly banner holder real quick. They go on a Diddy party and like, no, we cis women, because it has to be clarified when they're in these spaces, because they want people to know, like, no, I'm not a part of the community. I'm an actual woman. But the word, and maybe, you know, you guys didn't know this at the time, but we've been using this word for a long time. That's why the word, hey sis, been around for a long time. Y'all probably didn't know that part, but that's why that word was around. Because it was a word where people that came in our spaces understood that's a real woman and these are trans women.
Yeah, I understand that.
But for me, it was like to protect heterosexual women. Now it's turned into a bad word. Like, I'm not a cis woman. I don't be called a cis woman. And it's like, well, they call it the cis men. They ain't arguing this bad about this word. So I'm just trying to understand why this seems so bad.
It seems so bad because biological women do not want to be called cis. That's just point blank period, because we are natural born women. That's something we cannot change. But that's transgender women and transgender men can change those things, but they can't change.
But that's what the word cis means, though, that you are naturally born women.
I know, I get that. But before everybody started, I understand in the gay community they have different rules and they have different things that they do, and they call women cis, and I get that. But to me, as a natural born woman, I don't want to be called cis. I feel like, okay, if transgender women like the word cis, let them be called cis. So then that'll let people know, okay, she's transgender. But some of them you can tell they're transgender, some you can't. But my feeling
that's the main part. So let me ask you this. So let's say you're in a space with gay people, which we are all in this space right now, right? But you're in a space, and then there's a man he wants a trans woman, and then he comes to you, and he's thinking that you are a part of like the trans people because you're in this space. He takes you home. Then what do?
I would explain to him, sorry, my bad, beloved, but I'm not a trans woman. That's just how I would do it. I wouldn't be, I'm not disrespectful to anyone. I let people live their life because I'm not God. I can't tell them what to do. But point blank,
what if you want to go home with somebody who actually wants to go home with you versus a trans person?
I'm picky with that anyway. Because
no. I mean, it's not about being picky. Like, wouldn't you want to go to a space where they want to go home with I'll say a real woman instead of a transgender woman, or a female versus a trans woman. I'll say that. Wouldn't you want to go into a space like that? I just feel like, to me, I feel like it's a safe space for heterosexual women when they're in spaces where men don't know, like because some of them look like real women, or
they do. There's some beautiful transgender women. I get them that.
It was like, listen, cis women, trans women, so you understand what you're going home with or who you're talking to, so there's no confusion. Because I think the difference between you going home with a man versus a trans person is you go home. They sometimes don't.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even know. So that's my other issue. Me, myself, I don't put myself in positions.
So then you understand it then.
I understand it. I just don't like being called a cis. Like sister and all that, that's different.
You'd rather take the chance of going home with a man, thinking that you might be a trans, or they don't know if you a female or a trans person, and not being called cis when you are in this space, and then get to the house and then they upset. because they
Nope.
were with the wrong type of woman.
Because what I do when I date, I get all in people business. That's why I said I don't understand. People can go online and Google people from TV shows and all that other crap. How about you take the time to Google the man that you're trying to meet or trying to get to know? Ask him the questions. What is he into? What type of women do he like? You have to ask him that because, again, some men might, again, like you said, like transsexual women, transgender women. So you have to make sure you tell them, look.
What's the question they would ask you I guess what question they would ask you that would decipher that you are not trans?
What would they ask me?
They're gonna say, do you have a dick? Then they're gonna say that.
Hey,
so what question would they ask you?
I would like for the man to ask me, do you have a problem with men that date men and women? Okay. Or do you have a problem that a man that dates women and transsexual and transgender women? And I'd be like, yeah. Now, I would cut that off at the beginning. Do I think they would ask? The way some men in my age range are, they are very bold. So they will ask you that because some men are just ignorant. They just are. They can't help themselves. That's who they are. Even if you want to call me a biological woman, I'm fine. But cis just makes me seem like I'm not a woman to me. I mean, I don't know how anybody else feels, but that would make me feel like that people are skeptical if I'm a woman or not. You know what I mean?
I think what you guys have to understand was that word was never meant to go into mainstream, right?
I know it wasn't. So I know it's in science books and all that,
but it's here now. But for over 40 years, this was an actual word that, out of respect for women, it's been used. So for me, I feel like, why not respect that trans women were respecting black or women, period, and saying, listen, I'm not cis, I'm trans. To me, it's like they really respect women. Not to the, like, I'm not trying to trick you. Listen, I'm a trans woman, not a cis woman. The terminology could be for what, the terminology shouldn't matter for now that it's mainstream. And I get that you guys don't like, I don't want to be, I mean, even if I was a heterosexual man, I don't want to be called a cis man. I don't want to be called that either. But I understand why that they're saying that, because there are trans men. But the reason why that's not a problem, because they fucking the trans men. So
and they still can have babies. Like we had that. I had the discussion earlier.
To men, they're still women.
Absolutely, because you can't. Like I said, it's the DNA in you. You cannot change. It is your organs you cannot change. I don't care if you change your sexual organs. That don't make a difference. If you change your sexual organ, a woman, if she's a trans man, she's still going to have a cycle. And she could still get pregnant. Mm-hmm. But a trans woman cannot do either one of those things. I don't care what they do. They can, like, even with people talking about what that child name is, not Star Monroe, but
Storm Monroe.
Not Flame Monroe, but
I said Star Flame Monroe.
T.S. Madison.
I think that this is my own personal opinion. I think that T.S. Madison has been very respectable to women, because T.S. Madison has always said, "I'm the big bitch." Basically, like, she's like, this is who I am. She's always been very upfront, and I think that introducing this word cis has caused so many issues that it shouldn't have caused.
That's true.
And I think that the thing is that people don't understand is, like, it was protect. Would they tell me that I should say the word with actual women, real women? Yeah. That's what Latifah said. So I think that it was a word to protect actual real women, but because it's mainstream now it feels like it's a problem, because
it's
we
offensive.
have to have cis in front for us people to know that we're real women. But there's trans people who look just like actual real women. So then when they get into the bedroom with a trans person who looks like an actual real woman, and then they unalive, the trans community is going through a lot, and I've seen it on my own. I know a lot of trans women. I could count them, have 10 trans women who are dead to this day because they came off as actual real women. because they didn't say I'm a trans person.
Absolutely. I
They
said
didn't
that earlier.
and there was no decipher between cis and actual real women. If actual real women want the pronoun to be changed to A or W, just say that. Don't argue with the fact that it's called cis women, even though it's a scientific term. Just say we want it to be ARW, and then I think that they will respect that part. But to be going off this bad in this big ass battle between T.S. Madison and Tasha K and just hilarious about cis, for me, I'm gonna tell you, it sounds ridiculous.
It does sound ridiculous. The problem is because Tasha K will
She got $4 million problems to deal with. She should have shut her ass up and figured how to do that.
For real. But T.S. Madison is just like Flame Monroe. Flame Monroe has breasts.
I don't think T.S. Madison
and eggplant.
is the same. I don't think that.
No, I'm just saying that they have the same thing. They both have breasts and they both have an eggplant.
But Flame,
so that's why Flame Monroe was saying.
But Flame is very problematic, though.
Well, Flame Monroe, people say that, but I listen to Flame Monroe more than I do T.S. Madison, and the reason why is Flame Monroe is an old queen. So she goes by the old rules.
She, we, because that's what Flame says. He, she, we.
Yeah.
But I think that Flame is more.
She goes by the old rules.
Flame actually drives the narratives between the division. And after I get to talk to you guys, I'm driving. I want to talk to you guys because I'm driving this somewhere, and I really want people to understand what the fuck is happening and why this is happening for us. Because we're not talking about cis women and men in the white peoples or any other nationalities communities. In the black community, we are talking about this, but I want to talk about this after I hear what everybody has to say.
Yeah. So and the other problem was
I got one more person up here. I think it's Yamaine. Is that what your name? Is it the name Yamaine?
Yes, sir. Debonair.
Okay. I like that name. I'm gonna say this last thing and I'm gonna get out the way. The problem is,
when I give my final synopsis, if you guys want to come back up, I would definitely love to hear how you guys feel. But for me, I know what this is.
Yeah. The problem with the biggest problem is because is if I'm trying to think if it was Tasha K or T.S. Madison, but one of them said, "Oh, just hilarious is just mad because people always keep thinking she a transgender."
Well, just hilarious. I showed the video of Just Hilarious saying that a man wanted to fly her out because they thought she was a trans woman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not T.S. Madison's, your fault, my fault, anybody else's fault. A man thought she was a trans woman. So that's.
I think it's just because they threw that in there.
Huh?
And it pissed. I think because they threw T.S. Madison threw that in there.
No,
I think that's what pissed Just Hilarious off the worst.
Within her because she doesn't. That's a self-esteem issue. Because you could tell me, you could tell me. Let me tell you something. I pulled up a picture of me at my orientation the other day. The woman was like, "Oh, Mr. Lay, oh my God, baby, but I'm a whole gay man. I don't really like. You're not about to bait me into something that I'm not going to do."
Absolutely.
Her being mistaken as a trans person, that was a hit to her. Because she looks like a trans man. I don't know if you ever watched Bad Boys Atlanta. She looks like Gutta.
Okay. Yeah. Zeus ain't getting no money from
that wig ain't on. She looks just like Gutta. It looks like a person who is representing from the trans community. So I'm not surprised that someone said that, but also show your respect for people, because also one thing that she said, I want to say this real quick before I even let both of y'all go. I mean, before you come up, before I let you go. One thing she did say was, who's going to support me in these battles? The people that you fighting with are the people who are going to support you, but you fighting them. The trans community will fight for a damn dog on the side of the motherfucking road because the toenail was clipped off. Like the trans community be fighting for every fucking thing because they know what it's like not to have. So they fight for everything. So for me to watch that, and she said that when they say that about her, there's a certain space in her life where trans people are triggering for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Chi-Town is crazy. I can't stare her. I'm looking like Danny Glover.
she's hard in the face, just
Oh
like
no.
Natasha looking like Danny Glover. Period.
But yeah, that's my only issue.
Yes.
If they want to call us, I feel like this. If you're gonna call us cis when y'all having your own personal conversations, that's one thing. But to come to a woman and call her a cis is different.
But nobody's coming up to you saying, "Hey, cis girl," or, "Hey, cis woman."
I know.
When you're in our spaces, because there are men. The main issue is men, because they are in spaces looking for a whatever type of woman they're looking for.
Anywhere they can put it.
Woman, a cis woman, a real woman, a dog woman, a cat woman, whatever woman they're looking for.
Anything with a hole.
That's the main issue. But my main thing I'm gonna say is this, and I've been saying this since I've been on YouTube. I said before I got on YouTube, is when we stop all this shit and come together, it's gonna change the game. We have to stop this bullshit. We have to.
It will.
Because the trans people ain't fighting against y'all. They try to decipher whether you a cis woman or a damn trans woman. So that when the men come up, what type of woman you want? You can have a woman with chocolate, a woman with vanilla, a woman with strawberries. What type of woman do you want? But that's what they let it, the men that's coming up to you. So when y'all go to the hotel or wherever you go with, you ain't surprised when you get there and then you unalived. Because those trans women, no one like, because the black women that's going over there, they get traffic. Come to Atlanta, you getting traffic. Come down here. There's a lot that are happening when it comes down to women. Period. Whatever type of woman that you are,
absolutely,
there's a lot that are happening. So a cis woman would be my least problem, because the real thing is when the men come up here, what they're looking for, because you know who's gonna fight for you the most is them trans women and them black women, because they want the rights. They want to have something where we come together. But if you talking about the different types of, there's different types of everybody. But while we fighting against women, listen, baby, if you want to have periods, have a motherfucking period, baby. I want you jump in your asshole and let you bleed. Like let have a period. And if you want to have a baby, like I don't want to make it happen, but like, why is this such a big thing? The biggest issue that we have as black people is we are so divided.
Absolutely.
We're sitting here arguing about the word cis. When they calling us niggas, they calling us hood people. The police is picking us up because we have this color of skin, darker, lighter, whatever. Cis is the problem. Baby, pick a different battle.
No, I think it's also because the extra stuff that they're starting to add into it, like they don't call it breastfeeding anymore. They're calling it chest feeding, which is insane. And a vagina is not called a vagina; it's called
a heterosexual man.
Extra hole.
They do have chest feeding. So that's
they do.
Real situation. Whether you gay, straight, whatever you are, there is chest feeding, because heterosexual men who have wives, who have babies, they have the boob thing for the men to put the milk in there and they chest feed the baby. It's not disrespectful.
I know, but it feel like they're just trying to erase everything there is specifically about women. It may not feel like that to you.
Let's come out of that mentality. That's not true.
No, I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying that's what it's making people feel.
Feel like, right. But that's what I'm saying.
Like they're trying to erase us.
Out of that mentality, because what it does is it's building division in the black community. We already got enough division between men, women, light skin, dark skin, good hair, bad hair. That's the truth. We on sexuality. Now we got to be cis and men and women and transgender. Like there's a lot of division in the black community. Let's like try to reverse that and come together and say, you know what, I'm gonna call cis or gender, but you know what, I respect it, and you know what, I thank you for letting the men who are in y'all spaces know, like that's a real woman, a real female, and not a transgender woman. Yeah. Like let's change our mentality when it comes down to this, because the actual wording of this was to respect women, not disrespect.
I get that.
How women take it, that's on y'all. But the reality was, it was to respect the females. Even T.S. Madison said that. She was like, I know I am not a female. I am a woman. I'm not a female. I am a woman. So she knows that. So if she knows that, the rest of the trans people know that. T.S. Madison, the girls follow her. So if T.S. Madison says that, then they know that. But let's take out the stigma, because the word cis was put there. Listen, it's protected for y'all, not for them. Well, it's let you know, like, listen, I'm a trans. That's the one. That's a cis woman. Which one you want? Go get it.
Yeah, but people like again, like I said, they still digging up that. Well, it says it in science. I'm like, that's why I keep constantly always saying
It's
I'm
in
not a
science,
science
though.
project.
It's in science.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, that's a science definition. I
So
don't need a
trans people
science
didn't make it
definition.
up. They didn't make it up. They're
I
using
know.
technical words to make
Yeah,
it.
they're using it to. It's supposed to be used to help us, but it's not making a lot of women feel like they have our back, even though we know some of them do. Not all of them do, because when they're saying you don't get your femininity from being a woman, you do, because even transgender women mimic what women do. They may put on, they learn how to dress from women, they learn how to put on makeup for women. Some men learn how to do it on their own, but it's just a lot of different things.
But you are allowed to feel that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are allowed to say that out loud. Like you should. If that's how you feel, say it. But then when you are getting education about why this is happening, why not take? You know what? I understand now, because I never been in gay spaces where this was a different. I had a differentiation, this type of thing. But now it makes sense to me why there's a cis word in those gay spaces. And yes, before, I mean, when I was in college, gay was wrong. You know what I'm saying? So you couldn't come out as a cis, a bis, a this, anything. You had to be a heterosexual man or a woman, period. But LGBT people made something for people in our space to say, hey, listen, this is a cis woman. Whatever you want to do, make sure you do you got it on your own terms. But right, you're talking to a cis woman versus a trans woman. It's the protection for women. And let it be as, like, why cannot it be a positive thing and not a negative thing?
I understand that. I really do. Don't think I don't understand it, and I respect it. It's just, again, it sounds.
You don't want to be called cis, and we get it. We get it.
Yeah, it's just weird, because again, I feel like we're being depreciated.
But you're not, though.
I know we're not, but that's what it makes us feel. A lot of women,
and I get it, y'all.
Female women feel,
and you can't take away how nobody feels, because
absolutely
their feelings are valid. Real talk. I understand that.
That's the issue. I'm gonna let your next guest.
All right.
Talk, because I've been on here long enough.
I gotta pull up my next one after this. But go. Yeah, man. What's going on?
Hey, man. I just wanted to give you your props for even. You have to be courageous to even take on this topic. Yes. On my channel, I did have like one of my viewers like try to have me address it, and I said no, because I felt like it was so.
I didn't want to.
Right.
You can add Shy Town in my chat. I was like, I really don't want to, because this is so problematic.
It's divisive.
It's hard to even fight this battle. So
and a lot of people don't listen. What they're doing is listening to see what side you fall on, right, a lot of times. And I really just I get it from both sides, actually. I'm talking about like the people in the LGBT. First of all, let me just say this: I'm a Black American cisgender gay man. But I get it on both sides. So like I'm really just married to my own perspective. And I've heard some things today from you and from the your chat that I agree with, and then I heard a whole bunch of things I don't agree with or I don't subscribe to. So yeah.
Yo. Now I appreciate you sharing that. And like for me, like again, like I was like, I don't want to come on with this, but this conversation bothers me so much, because I'm like, trans people really, they like what they're saying makes sense, but because we have our I'll say real women who are in this conversation, it gets really complicated with this conversation, because they are so offended versus just trying to hear why this is even a thing.
Right. And I don't even like that phrase, like real woman, because
I don't like saying that either. I don't like saying that
because woman refers to like gender, and gender is a social construct. You know, but if you say a real female, and some people can weaponize that, I wouldn't have as much of as a problem, because then you're referring to sex, and there is a difference between sex and gender.
Mhm.
But you know,
But no, even T.S. Madison says, she's like, I'm not a female, I'm a woman.
right, I can agree with that.
She's giving the basis of what it is for a trans person. So why are we fighting a battle about what a woman is? Because a woman and a female is two different things. We know we're born male or female. We know that. And she broke it down. So we're arguing this battle. And then for what? What does it help? How does it change? But for me, I'm always going to say this is another way to divide the Black community. That's what it is.
How about it?
That's what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna hop down for now, but you're gonna see me in your chat. You know,
I appreciate it.
Oh, can he not drop down? Because I have questions about like what he agreed with and didn't agree with. And hey, SoDeb, and hey, the chat. Hey, I'm curious to know what you heard earlier, Yamaine, like that you agreed with and didn't agree with.
it was just like different statements, like real woman, or people that find the term cis problematic. I don't find it problematic at all. Or stretching to call it scientific. It's more like a clinical term, and clinical terms are not like restricted to laboratories. You know, like even like a counsel, like if you're at a counselor's office, you're in a clinical environment. And I understand that his branched out like into society, and so there's like more loose thing. And like I was just like confused, like when people conflate gender with sex, and that was happening all over the place. Or even stuff like when people say I'm a natural born woman. Like women are and men are not born. Baby boys and baby girls are born. Like it was just stuff like that.
Okay.
Because there are people who are born with both parties.
Mm-hmm. You become a woman, you know. But I'm a hot girl before I get attacked. But I get it from both sides, yo. I get it from like the heterosexuals, and I get it from the LGBT, although I'm gay. You know, so
Interesting.
What you got, Conscience?
Well, I agree with you guys. I definitely agree. Like, it's interesting that I got so sick of all of this. I literally threw the term cisgendered out of the damn window on my channel when you said, I'm just not going to use it. So my new word to distinguish trans women from so-called cis women is just using the term biological woman or female. Female and trans women. But what's fascinating is, like Yamaine said, the term cis actually is a double affirming word for biological women and men. Like it literally actually allows you to double down on your biology and your gender identity. Like it's literally you saying, I'm born female and I identify as woman, as she, as her. Now, what's fascinating is that because we have trans people in the same space as biological male and females, now you have been provided terminology that helps you to separate yourself from being classified or mistaken as transgender, because the world is filled with trans women, trans men, you can't just go into a space now and say, well, I'm a woman. What does that mean now? Because even trans women fall under the umbrella of woman. Right. But you saying I'm a cisgender woman is you saying I'm a biological female who identifies as woman. So this pushback is only because people don't want to confront their inherent transphobia. Because when the same academic scientific institutions use scientific terminology to describe your humanness, like you being a Homo sapien, you don't protest that scientific language. You don't perform a digital insurrection. I ain't no damn Homo sapien. I'm a human being. I'm a damn. You don't do all that. It's only the resistance is only because deep down there is an inherent queer phobia, transphobia that's not being addressed amongst our biological heterosexual community, who like to believe that they are accepting and loving. And the issue, even with this notion that I'm not transphobic, is really built upon the idea that because you don't use the term tranny, or you don't use the F word, or because you're not unaliving trans women, or because you're not beating up nobody, you think that you're not violent. But in your politics, you're violent.
Yes.
In your social economics, you're violent. In your rhetoric, you're violent. You don't personify homophobia or transphobia through your fist and your feet, but do not mistake your religious bigoted ideas are violent and prejudice. Your justifications of why men shouldn't be with men and why men shouldn't dress up like women, etc. All of that also falls under transphobia and queerphobia. So you have like people who, just because they don't perform explicit, overt homophobia or transphobia, they think, well, I'm okay, I'm fine, and they disguise their prejudice as this is just my belief. Well, you know what? Racism is just a belief as well, but we still call it racism. Sexism is
you can't compare this to racism, because they don't want to accept the fact that the same struggle that Black people went through is the same struggle that we've been going through in our community. And for me, I hate that, because it's like, this is the same thing that, that people are sitting around justifying hating or not understanding on purpose about what's happening in our community when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community. Oh, well, y'all didn't go through this many years of slavery. Well, I mean, we've progressed in life, so it shouldn't happen this long. Yes, we do have rights now, and people fought for this, but the reality is this: it's not that big of a difference when it comes down to the discrimination of this, because we were called niggas for a long time, and now we embrace niggas, and now we niggas. And for me, it's just like, if y'all understand that, then why is cis such a bad part? And then it comes to the women part, and I hate talking about this, because it seems like I hate Black women, and I don't, but it just seems like every time we're having these kind of conversations, it's like they're like, oh no, I'm not a cis woman, I'm a woman. This and this, I can have a period, I have a baby. Let me tell you something. I don't give a damn if I was transgender or not. I don't ever want to experience a motherfucking period. I don't want to experience birth of a motherfucking baby. The women who are able to do that, kudos to you. And I don't think that there's a lot of trans people fighting for that. Do you think that?
Ask the last question again. Do I think?
Do you think there's a lot of trans people fighting to have periods and birthing babies?
That's what the gag is. SoDebNair is the same trans women who identify as trans women. Biological women will argue with them about biology. If they're identifying as trans, they clearly don't need a hooked on phonics tutorial on biology, because they clearly know that they were biologically male. See, the difference between the term female and the term woman, as Yamaine said, is we're talking about a social construct. We're talking about identity versus biology. Trans women are not claiming that they're biological women. They identify as women because of their state of consciousness. So they're clear that they're driving a BMW as a they're clear about the fact that their soul exists in a body that does not match its state of consciousness. And me and Storm Monroe just had this conversation on his channel, which will be coming out in a little while, about this whole thing. I think what's missing, SoDeb, from the conversation in the West, in America, around gender, is because we are very left brain, logical, scientific based people. We throw a lot of science at the topic of gender, not realizing that there is a mystical aspect, a spiritual aspect to gender, which is the state of the soul. Clearly, trans men and trans women are having a different experience of their bodies as a result of their consciousness. Now, there's a lot of ways to explain this Because the reality is, despite what our religious beliefs are, we don't emphatically know the nature of reality. So that means that we have to consider things like reincarnation. We have to consider the fact that trans women could have been biological women in multiple lifetimes, and that's why they incarnated, even though they incarnated into a male body in this lifetime, still possess a female soul, because they spent so many of their incarnations as biological women. I mean, yes, as biological women. We don't also take into consideration that the divine, what we call God, is also androgynous. This is why, even for those who believe in the Bible, that singular consciousness stated, let us make man and woman in our own image. And then what does it say about the state of marriage? It says, when a man and a woman come together, they become what? One in spirit, because these polarities are meant to be unioned. So masc and femme can show up in every which way, shape, and form, whether it's in a effeminate man, whether it is in a biological woman, or whether it's a trans woman. What you see is the same principle, which is femininity. The feminine is expressing itself through gay men, expressing itself through biological women, expressing and personifying itself through trans women. The same thing with the divine masculine, is personifying itself through biological males, it's personifying itself through trans men, it's personifying itself through masculine presenting heterosexual women. The masculine isn't reduced to just us as males. Anyone can personify and access their masculine energies, and anybody can access their feminine energies. Now, when you was talking about, you were saying something earlier about, the co-comparison between racism and homophobia. What's funny to me is biological heterosexual folk love to act like they don't know what the hell gay people are talking about. When we bring up racism, we're not literally saying that prejudice was executed the same way on queer bodies, the way that prejudice was executed on Black bodies. What we are saying is that they are similar in principle. The principle here is hatred and prejudice that was legislated, because in the DSM-5, the book that our psychologists study, baby, homosexuality was deemed, transgenderism was deemed as a mental illness. They literally were performing lobotomies on queer people in order to cure them. They literally had conversion camps and using electric convulsive therapy, etc., to cure queerness. Religion has doubled down on attempting to pray and exercise the queerness away, leading to even more psychological damage to queer people who live already in an oppressive system. Queer people literally still in certain states cannot donate their blood to the Red Cross because of the stigma on queer people walking around with AIDS and various STIs and STDs. We're still literally fighting for adoption rights. Literally, right after they legislated women's reproductive rights, what did they do? Started having conversations around also restricting same-gender marriage, interracial marriage. So, no, racism, the execution of racism and the execution of queerphobia in the country does not look the same, but hatred is hatred, oppression is oppression, and there are similarities between the struggle. And I just want us to get to this point where we realize that we live in a patriarchy, and the reality is, look, if they don't like females in the patriarchy, they damn sure don't like trans women or gay men, which is why you always see gender and orientation intersecting.
But stop there though. If they don't even like them in that space, and this is my main thing, I've been saying this for years. If they don't even like women in those spaces, why the hell would you dumb down and they come against the people that are even in society that are lower than you, and then say, well, who's fighting for us? Us, motherfucker. Like, I mean, because that's just, she said that. We fighting for you all the fucking time. If you look at who's fighting for Black women all the time, it's us. But you sit here every time and then you want to come down on us because the word is cis. Like, it's not even that fucking big of a deal. But you don't be called a cis woman. And again, someone on Sherelle channel was just like, you have to understand that when women were in our spaces, it was for a specific reason. But and I brought it to this. Right now, the world is we're in the world spaces. So yes, we are saying cis women right now because we understand that, you know what? Listen, I might be a trans person, whatever that looks like. So yes, cis is very important because I can't go home with you and you want a heterosexual woman when I'm a trans person. So I'm going to make it very clear that I am a trans person, and if you're talking to somebody else, that's a cis woman. So there's no, because if I go home with you, who knows if I'll make it back home, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think that when it comes down to it, for me, it was a protection navigation for heterosexual women to say cis women when they're in our spaces, because they're always in our spaces.
They are. I mean, it's really tragic to see the tension between, especially our biological hetero female counterparts, because our communities have always been adjacent to one another. Mm. And most of us found safe spaces amongst females before we found it amongst males who were, once again, patriarchy and certainly outwardly hateful and resistant to anything that wasn't chest beating and gorilla like in energy. Then, you know, so I know, like, I agree with your sentiments that we don't realize that the black on black crime that's in the community is a result of white supremacy. Though the women on women crime that we see in the community is the result of white supremacy. But, you know, I have to give it up to white supremacy. Genius job, because what they've gotten us to do after generations of disillusionment and disenfranchisement and marginalization is they've gotten us to turn on each other. Now they get to sit back and reap the benefits of us annihilating each other and applying themselves for being the secret antagonist to this tension and this divide in the community. And we're falling for it over and over and over again.
I want to read this real quick. Shutdown says, I just don't like people trying to take away how I feel because I stay windmilling for my gay counterparts when slurs are being used that they don't like. You will never disrespect my people. Cis is not a slur. And again,
yeah, how is it?
I've said this multiple times. To be honest, I don't think it was ever really a thing for y'all to even know. It was more of people that were in our spaces to say, hey, you know, when the guys are coming in trying to deal with people that were in our spaces, that's a cis woman, that's a trans woman. It was more of a protection thing. And I need for people to understand this, like, take how you feel out of the situation and understand it wasn't something to make y'all feel like y'all were something different. It was for y'all's protection, to be honest, when y'all going, because I mean, look at the trans situations when they go home with the men who didn't know they were trans. The same thing could have happened to the women that were in our spaces when they went home and realized these were cis women. Right? Am I tripping?
I mean, but even less for protection. The term cis is literally for the same reason why the term trans exists. It's literally just for the sake of identity. It's just for it's just identity based. It doesn't.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It was just to identify who was who in this space.
Yes, because because unlike the 90s and unlike the 80s and the 60s and the 40s, trans women aren't just tucked in the Underground Railroad in gay houses and balls. They're now existing on the surface of the planet out loud. They're sharing the same clubs, bars, clothing departments. They're interacting with the same men who are attracted also to biological women. So now that trans women are existing on, up on the surface of the land, yes, now it's important for there to be identity, because you got biological women and you have trans women occupying the same space. So now we need language like bio woman or cis woman to distinguish them from trans women, to distinguish biological men from trans men, because we don't know the difference anymore when all these people are sharing the same community. So it's literally just identity based. The fact that people are now trying to brand cisgendered as a slur is to be intentionally, willfully wrong and misinformed, because that's just not what it means, and that's just not what it's about.
And I'll flip it around for people who don't understand this. So when I go home to Ohio, and I go out with my, I don't even want to say cisgender, but the females at home, they are very cautious about where they take me and everything, because they know how the guys are there. So they're not going to be like, oh, this is my gay friend, Aaron, because they know how people want to react. It's the same thing. Like that's why when women are in our spaces, we say cisgender, because they understand, like, listen, this is not the woman that you want. If you do, look, you understand what it is. When I go with my homegirls at home, they were like, no, he gay, like, he ain't trying to F me, this and this. Like, they give those disclaimers. So it's no difference for me. That's why I feel like this is so irritating to me. And I hate this conversation, because it's like, this has been going on for a very long time. And I guess because women are a part of this conversation now, like, it's getting to a point, it's just like, I've been through this for years of my life, where I had to be known as a gay man when I go out with my friends. And I don't want to go out labeled as the gay guy. Like, I'm just here with my friends. So.
Yeah. Like I've said this on my platform, and I have to state it here. There is a big elephant in the room as it relates to biological Black women. There is a conversation and there is a truth that's not being admitted to. First of all, the inherent transphobia is just not being admitted to. The other big truth, and me and you know this because we heard this type of shit our whole life, is Black women have oftentimes also criticized Black gay men for being gay because they felt it was a shortage on qualified Black male candidates, that there was that the dating pool was shrunk, and that Black men identifying as queer and being same-sex attracted was taken away from Black women's capacity to have viable partners and viable husbands and viable etc. So now let's think about this, Deb. You got Black women living in this era where, first of all, they feel snuffed out and they are being attacked by white supremacy. Black men are also divesting and wanting Becky instead. Black, and if they're not divesting, Black men just aren't earning, and they're not educated enough to be qualified for the type of engagement that women desire from their intimate male partners. And now you got trans women coming into the damn space. So Black women completely feel like, how much we gotta share?
Right.
How much we gotta how much we gotta be able to accommodate?
Yeah, I've seen that.
And
you see that a lot on the internet. It's like, damn, now we gotta share with the too. Like, I've seen that. But I just think, like, let's just stick on the word cis. It wasn't a word to create confusion. It was a word to protect women that were in gay spaces or LGBT spaces. I'm sorry. That's all it was a word to save them in those spaces. And it's turning into a lot that I feel like are just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's only because of the inherent transphobia. Because once again, if you're not a trans woman and you take pride in,
give me 1 second, be right back.
Okay, and clearly, biological women clearly take a lot of pride in being biological women, which is why they scream to the mountaintops, "I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a real woman." So then you should be celebrating the term cis, because that's literally what cisgender means. It means that I'm born female and I identify as woman, that both my identity and my biology are in agreement. What trans relatively means, in contrast to cis, is my biology does not agree with my identity. I'm a biological male who identifies as woman, or I am a biological female who identifies as man. So it forces me to believe that if you want to take a word that actually affirms your gender identity and your gender expression, it actually affirms it, not remove it, not compromises it, not reduces it, not turns it into something else. It literally means you're born as a woman and you are born as a female, you identify as woman. And if there's still resistance to something that actually is just another way to scream, I'm a biological woman, then there can't be anything else behind the resistance other than transphobia. It's just because of who's asking you to do this. It's only because of who this also accommodates. It's only because of who this also considers. Because I can't find any other reason why you would be resistant to cisgender, except by it being the fact that it's trans women who are being accommodated by me utilizing this terminology. I'm good with woman, biological woman, lady, her, she, and Mrs. Okay, I mean, for me, I don't have a problem referring to biological women as biological women. If cis just triggers up the transphobia in y'all, then biological woman it is. But I feel like instead of us like cloaking our inherent biases, it's more healthy for us to confront them so we can really heal them.
Yeah. I think that they're just taking it as a word of disrespect, and it's really not that. Had the world not really accepted all of us over here, y'all probably wouldn't have even heard the word cis before. But we're here, and I think that that's the biggest issue that I'm experiencing when I'm seeing this conversation. It's like, well, aren't you happy that they don't think that you're a trans person? Like, I just think there's so much that was supposed to be helpful that it's turned into bad.
For sure.
Hey, what's going on, Remain Teachable? You there? Oh, she logged off. Okay.
That boosts mobile connection, child.
But no, I think that again, I think that I want people to understand what it looks like. Like, let's take our bias out of the word and understand why it's happened, and then understand. To me, it's like for your safety, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just out of convenience of identity. Like, we're just living in a time of strong identity politics, and we have a very blended society now. America is truly now a melting pot, and it's truly diverse. And this language is just a way for everybody to fit themselves into the neat categories they want to be in.
To be nature says, Risa says, natural woman, like that. No, again, guys, I think that this term has been taken totally wrong. And I think that, because we've been called all kind of things in our community. I think as women, y'all been called more than just cis women. So I think there's a lot of names that have been called, but cis woman is not even offensive. But y'all embrace bitch and then turn it into a positive thing. So why is cis any different for me?
Because of who it accommodates.
I don't know.
Because of who it's respectful of, even though it's something that affirms them. It's just because of who it's adjacent to. It's trans, it's the LGBT asking for it. That's why there's pushback. And let me tell you something. I am not one of those queer people who think that just because biological male and females will tell me how good I look and tell me how cute I am and subscribe to my channel, that it means that motherfuckers are not inherently homophobic. Because when it's time for that conversation to happen, or some shit goes down on social media, baby, the homophobia and transphobia jumps right on out the window.
Same.
So I'm very clear that just because folk be toting around they token gay friend or be adjacent to queer people does not mean that you are not queerphobic or homophobic. Just as racist folk will hire black bodies, black people, will live next door to, etc., will have a token black friend and still hold racist, discriminative, prejudice politics. Same thing for queerness.
Let me say this. Mel says it's not about who it accommodates, it's how the person who said it came off. Listen, some people can call you a bitch and to be friendly. Some people call you a bitch and it's offensive. That's, for me, that's not even a good excuse. To me, I think that, first of all, the actual definition and the reason why it happened should be enough. Because if so, just like the word nigga, like, who's calling you a nigga? Is it a white person or is it a black person? The same thing. So we can't take the whole word or the whole term and then make a whole determination of, oh, it makes me feel like I'm not a real woman. You have to determine who you hanging around, who you listening to, and what it means to you. For me, because I've been called a lot of things, and I even said this to to Shites, and I was like, you know, people call me a lot of things as a gay person. I don't want to be called a gay black man. I don't want to be called a gay man. I want to be called me, to be honest. But I'm not going to sit around and make posts on the social media talking about why this is so offensive. We know why the F word is offensive to gay people, but it was used as a negative term. Cis was never ever made to be a negative term. Y'all made it that way. Just like the B word, y'all turned it around to a positive thing. But cis was never created to be a negative thing. It's like the reversal of all this. Y'all are making cis a negative thing, when the reality, again, it was to say, hey, y'all, this is a cis woman, this is a trans woman. And I feel like open your ears, turn off your keyboards, and just hear the reality. It wasn't to offend, it was to protect, so that you knew that when it comes down to it, this is a trans, this is a natural, a cis, whatever the words you want to use, that's what it was used for. Hey, Remain Teachable, you there?
Yes.
All right. What's going on?
Hello. So that CTV, I've been drinking, I ain't gonna lie.
We drinking together.
Okay. From the gay perspective, why did we start using cisgender? And then I will give my opinion.
Say it one more time.
Why did we start using cisgender from y'all community? And then I will explain mine.
Because heterosexual women were in gay spaces. So when you're around trans
and vice versa.
Right, yeah. So when you're in those spaces with women who look the same, and then a man approaches you, hey, this is a cis woman, this is a transgender woman. So the trans person is not unalive after they leave that space. Oh, she I don't know what happened. But after the trans person leaves, they're not unalive after that interaction. And the cis person gets to go. Oh, she's back. She going in and out.
It might be StreamYard kicking her in and out.
But I'm saying that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you are. It's literally just for identity purposes. Because like you said, it's also so that men have the opportunity to distinguish. Because once again, like we both saying, all these women now occupy the same community. Mm-hmm. They in the same bars, the same workspaces, the same pool halls, they in the same spaces now. So everybody has a label that helps everybody be clear about who everybody is.
Right.
Because once again, we can't, I think because now queerness and queer people are so visible. We on TV, we pop stars, we on the billboards, we got the Lil Nas X, the Ellens, the Wanda Sykes, we got all these gay people. I think we forget that this is a new era. This wasn't always the case in the old world, that queer people lived in the shadows of society. Right. So we accommodated homophobia by staying the fuck out the way. Right. Now we all up in you. We all up in you ish.
So let me comment on this. Shaitan says, I never called you a gay black man. You have always been a black man or Aaron to me, right? So let's say that you don't know me, right? But I'm in a space, I could be a trans man. And this cis man is the cis man and you know what the other word and male could be a thing, right? So let's say that you came and you met me and you were attracted to me or you want to be friends with me, but you are not okay with transgender trans men. But that does, I don't think that you would have to call me that. But again, if I didn't identify myself, that could change for some people. Like if you didn't know who I was, if you didn't know that. So for me to identify myself, hey, I am a trans man. I'm not a trans man, y'all, but I can say I'm a trans man, and you will never know that. But there are people who don't like trans men. So that's why for me, I feel like it's okay to identify the cis part. So like, you don't have to like, what is a natural man? Like a real man, because to be honest, let me be all the way honest. Some of these niggas would be like, oh, when you say you are a real woman, what type of woman are you? Like they would go into depth about what type of woman that you are. A cis man, it's clear, it's flat. Yo, biologically, I'm a female. Because a lot of men, female don't ring a bell for them. But when you do say, hey, I'm a cis woman, they understand that, because those are terminologies now where it lets you know I'm not dealing with a trans woman. I'm dealing with a woman who is a female. And I think for me, it feels like it's a great thing, because you have to question anything else, because if something happens afterwards, well, they told me there was a cis woman. I didn't know they was transgender. It gives them leeway to understand what they're dealing with, because everybody don't want to deal with trans people. And trans people don't want to deal with them.
Exactly. I mean, in this era where biological women are saying trans women should disclose, but then get mad that there are these labels that help them to disclose, that there's labels for everybody to help everybody be clear about disclosure. I'm telling you, SoDeb, it's only because of who we are, because the black biological woman community didn't just do this to us when it came to the term cis. They did it when it came to the term fish, which we use
as a
term of endearment. Now, I personally
I remember Claudia Jordan was asking Dineva about it, and Dineva explained it to her, and she was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it's more about your education on the words and the terminology from our community, because we do have a lot of words that people don't understand outside of our community. But when we're literally saying, listen, the reason why is because of this, and I've said it a million times on this live, cis is not disrespectful. It's to determine so that when you are talking to someone, when a man is talking to someone or a woman talking to somebody, this is a cisgender person, a cisgender woman, cisgender man. So I know I'm not going home with a transgender person, because I might have a hate for transgender where I might unalive one of these people. So it's very specific for me for when people are actually identifying themselves. So it's no excuse why you did what you did. Yeah, I have a solution to the problem. How about we use cis for the ones that look questionable, for example? But who looks questionable though? That's in the eye of the beholder, to be honest. People think that Tasha K is questionable. They said that Just Hilarious was questionable. They thought they were both trans people. So, and then to me, that's rude.
and it's transphobic and patriarchal as all hell. So no, it's not a solution. It's actually deepens the problem.
And I like this too. Tubi Dinner said that. For me, that happens a lot. People never know. Even at my job, like I might be going like with my coworkers that I'm really close to. Like I'd be talking to one person might walk by, they be like, I didn't even know he was gay. But you know, that happens all the time. It changes perspective sometimes or whatever. But if I just came in and said, hey, I'm a gay man, people would know. If I was a cisgender man, people would know I'm heterosexual. To be honest, you don't know who's gay, who's not gay in today's society. So identifying that for people that are around you in your space, to me, it makes sense. So that you're not walking up to somebody who's not even going to be interested in you because you're not even a part of that community or this community. Just, hey, this is what I am. And even if you don't want to say this is who I am up front, if someone does approach you, hey, you know what? I don't get down like this because I'm a cisgender person or I am a gay person. Whatever your pronouns are, I think that's the right word.
Yeah.
But you know, it's clarification for people who are trying to date, make friendships, people they feel like they have interest in. There are so many different ways to look at the situation, but women being mad about being called cis to me it drives me. It blows my mind.
Yeah. You know, it's like why are we making the distinction now between like African Americans and Black and brown people are not the same, because we know that there's other ethnicities of people who are Black and brown. So now we have to nuance the discussion in terms of who we are specifically referring to and talking about, because these things are now becoming generalized. So now we are just nuancing the hell out of identity, and you can use that identity however you want. It helps you to be informed about who people are, how to protect people, because now you know that there's some trans women in the space. This might make you more self-aware. It might make you, it might help you to aid and abet in the protection of this trans woman, because you know she's a minority in this particular space. It helps men to identify and distinguish women apart, so that those men who are transphobic as hell can't say, "Oh my God, I didn't know. She said she was a woman, so she didn't tell me she was a trans woman," or etc. Or it helps those biological women who have masculine features, like Jess Hilarious and Tasha K, who may be mistaken for what trans, to say, "No, I am a cis woman. I know I may have features that come from my father, or I may have which is nothing wrong with that, because we all have features from our parents.
Right.
I am a male. People can look at me and say, boy, you look just like your mama." Same thing with girls. Girl, you look just like your daddy.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with having feminine or masculine features or qualities. Once again, the terminology is just only for the sake of identity.
Mauricia Standing says, even the education don't help. I've witnessed CTV explain and educate to exhaustion, and people move the goalposts and play dumb. It's literally just queer phobia. And I think that people need to understand that part. Like, listen, y'all, ain't nobody forcing y'all to be called cis women. As long as your girlfriends and your friends around you ain't calling you cis, let this shit fucking go. Because listen, I gotta be called a faggot. I gotta be called cis, and not in the CIS word, but SIS. I gotta be called the woman in the relationship. There's so many words that I gotta be called in this situation. And the reality is that I don't want to be called in this shit, but you know what I do? It doesn't apply to me. So I'll move the fuck on, because it doesn't apply to me. Let's see if we can get Remain Teachable up here. Here, you here?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello, TV. Hey, SoDebNair.
Hey.
So cisgender is used to separate the different womanhoods.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Which most of us don't have a problem with. The issue becomes the term cisgender is a science term. It's not. Woman is an adjective. It explains who you are, XX, as a whole. No matter if you have physical disabilities where you can give birth or whatever, what makes a woman a woman. Not saying not to take away from transgender, but what I'm saying is, the menstruation, menopause, the OBGYN hormones, cells, AMP, that part, the adjective of a woman. The scientific term cisgender doesn't hold weight. All it is a scientific term. It doesn't express who we are. So that's where the issue comes in. We don't mind you
But
using
neither
the word.
does women.
We don't mind you using the word woman or even
But
using it to describe who we are, but cisgender takes away what the word woman means to us. You
you have
understand?
to, but remain teachable. And I think this is where we come together as Black people and have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It may sound that way, right? But originally, like, we didn't have the gay people in these spaces anymore. So you guys are hearing a lot of terms that y'all never heard before, right? And so now that we are in like mainstream America, you're hearing words you've never heard before. But when you're in your local gay club and you're where the transgender people are, you have to, that people want to know, what am I talking to right now? Is this I'm gonna say a cis woman or a transgender woman? They want to know that because they're attracted to one or the other. So for me personally, I feel like it's very responsible to say, hey, you know what? I want to talk to a transgender, not a cisgender woman. It wasn't to separate us or divide us as people. It was to say, listen, because we know we have issues with transgender people. They're being unalived all the time. So you know what? I don't want no confusion. I'm trans. They are cisgender women. It's not a dig or a hit towards heterosexual women. It's a clarification. I don't want to go to your house and then you unalive me because you thought I was cisgender. I'm a transgender person. And
And
you're
I get
hearing this
that.
now because transgender people are in everyday spaces. Before they were hidden. You didn't get to see them a lot, but now they're in your everyday spaces. So now you're hearing terms you may have never ever heard before because these were terms we used in our clubs or in our outings or whatever, so that people knew. But now it's in our everyday spaces. So this is the educational moment for women and even men who are, in everyday life right now. Listen, if I come to your house and we're all having a conversation and this man's coming up to me before we get into all this, I'm a transgender. I'm not a cisgender woman. So if you want a female, I'm not that. I am a transgender person. And to be honest, a lot of men will be, if you say, if a transgender person says, I'm a female, they will still be like, okay, this is a woman. Until you say cisgender, because it's very specific, they don't understand this. And it's more protection for you than anyone else. That's my personal intake.
I get that and I respect that on many different levels. I have to because my job entails me to do that in regular life. Live your life the way you want to. I respect how you want to be addressed, all of that. All of that. All I'm saying is, and I get the different, having to use different identities when you're in certain spaces. But just as someone wants to be referred to as a woman who is a transgender man, we still want to be called woman instead of cisgender. We respect giving the titles to differentiate. I get
But
that.
baby, I think the problem here is women are largely speaking monolithically, because if you go on my channel, there are plenty of biological women who do not mind the term cis. So who actually is the queen of the female community that gets to determine what all women allegedly want to be called, when all women is not agreeing on this issue? All women don't have an issue with cisgender. Only the women who got an issue with cisgender have an issue with cisgender.
And I respect that too.
Oh,
So
and real quick. Y'all, we have to hold on, Remain Teachable. We got to celebrate Remain Teachable really quick, because she graduated on the 21st, right?
yes, and I'm celebrating.
Hey.
So shout out to Remain Teachable for graduating on the 21st of July. We hit our goal for our fundraiser, even though the dates was wrong, but we still celebrate. I want to celebrate that with you. Before we get into the rest of this conversation, I'm glad you came up here so that we can celebrate that real quick. So y'all celebrate Remain Teachable because she did the damn thing.
Congratulations.
Okay.
And if y'all want to cash app SoDeb to raise more money,
Cash app you.
No, I don't need it.
So Deb,
let's celebrate you. Cash app you.
No. No. The kids are more important.
Okay. Got you. Well, y'all can my cash app's up on here because that's what it is. But go ahead, Remain Teachable. I just wanted to make sure I did that because we didn't get the chance to do it on we got the dates wrong. So
yeah, that was my fault. Yeah. Where was we?
Who is the queen of the female community? Because not all females have a problem with the term cisgender.
I don't think anyone is the queen. I think it's just respect everyone's title, whatever they want to be addressed.
But how can we do that if individual females are saying we as women, but at the same time acknowledging that all we as women agree on or disagree on the term cisgender? Because Deb, this term isn't being used in any intimate interaction. You're not greeted as cisgender remain teachable. You are greeted as remain teachable. She and her are your pronouns. That's what's used. The cis term only comes when we are having general discussion, and that general discussion includes trans women. So nobody personally is being called cisgendered.
Yeah.
It only
comes. It's not a dig. It's not a dig, and I feel like that's what it feels like. It's like people feel like it's a dig towards women who are females, and it's not a dig. It's a protection situation for people who are in our spaces to say, hey, this is a cisgender woman. So before you start going over and talking to her, I understand this, because again, when trans people go home with these men, they don't know that they are trans women, they become unalive. So it's a distinction, and it's very cut and clear. This is not a trans person. This is a cis woman. So know what you go home with, period.
Which I respect. And not everyone is like that, though. You guys are respectable, and most are respectable, but there are those who use it as a derogatory term, and that's where some of the issues
I've never heard cisgender ever. How can it be used in a derogatory term? I'm interested.
I think Tasha K and Just Hilarious are using it as a derogatory term because they feel that way, but they don't take the time to figure out even why there's a term called cisgender. Because the reality is this: how we just said they all women, people will be beginning eighth with the R word and a lot of different things, because people don't care for Black women, period. But then you have these distinctions about what it is, because they do treat the transgender people a little bit different, especially when they pretend they don't know. Then afterwards, people find out that they want to treat them this way. Black women, they want to traffic them and all type of things. So the battle for women, for me, my own personal opinion, is that why don't y'all all just come together and fight the battle together? Because y'all are dealing with a lot that is horrible from men who mistreat y'all. Like cis, if cis is a thing, the men that are treating these women this bad should be the fight for this should be way bigger than this.
The thing about it
call
is,
me cis before you traffic me. Call me cis before you unalive me. Like nobody's calling you cis and unaliving you or putting you in a trafficking home. Like, why is this such a big thing for me? This is my own personal thing. Why is this so big? Like, why are y'all not fighting together? Because just like y'all being trafficked and y'all being unalived, so are the trans people when it comes down to the thing. So why not just, hey, okay, sis, let's talk to my trans people. Let's have a conversation. I understand this. Let me understand why y'all saying cis. But the bigger picture is how they are treating all y'all the same. The men are treating y'all the same way. And y'all are losing lives. You guys are, y'all can't elevate when it comes to some of these men that are dealing with you guys. Why is that not the bigger issue? Cis would be the least of my worries.
It's a big issue, but it's a different topic from titles and identity. So
do you not lose your identity when they take you from your family and traffic you? Do you not lose your identity when they unalive you?
That's a different type. That's different.
But cis is just like cis is the thing where you can be like, hey, please don't call me cis. And literally, if you say to the person who called you that, they're like, okay, I respect it and leave it alone. But the fight for this is so much bigger than that for me. Like
I'm just trying to figure out who is specifically identifying an individual female as cis, because it doesn't happen. It's not happening. So we are already respecting women because we call them by their names and we use her and she pronouns. The only time cisgender is a verbiage is when it's a conversation typically around gender and sexuality and the collective of society that also involves trans women. No individual female is being greeted as cisgendered.
Why do you think about this? Lauren, who says, so Deb, do you think cisgender is only important in reference to selecting intimate partners in trans spaces? I don't think that. What I think is that the bigger picture to me is this: men have called women way worse things. Cisgender is a way for us to respect
each other,
females. I'm gonna dumb it down. I'm not dumb it down. I want to make sure I'm saying this right. To respect females when it comes down to things, so that when we are in spaces, when it comes to I'm not even a transgender person, but when we're in spaces with females and we're in places with transgender people, we understand who is who and what is what. But for me, what is the way that people have treated women, whether you are trans or you are a cisgender or a real woman, whatever word you want to use, they have treated women horribly. The cis word for me and the energy that is getting to me, it doesn't make sense, because the fight that we should be fighting for cisgender women, I'm gonna just say cisgender women, is a way bigger fight. And my co-workers at work know that I'm a big advocate for Black women. They know that I will fight to the death. I have fought niggas over my friends who have had children, my who don't want to take care of their kids. I've had fights with niggas who disrespected my friends. I've had fights with niggas who have fought my female friends. So for me, when I hear cis, I'm like, this is the least of the words that I need to be worried about. And just say that you want me called cis. For me, people are like, okay, you want me called cis? What do you want me called? Period. Just like when it comes to our community, don't call me him and what is it? He and him. When I'll be called she, them and they. It's the same things. So if we want to be respectable about what we are called, respect it all around the board. If y'all don't want to be called cis gen or cis women, don't call him and her. If they want to be called they and them, but people don't want to even respect that. So for me, cis was something to protect women and men who were heterosexual. So when they are in spaces with people who are around gay people, it was very prevalent that these are heterosexual people. It wasn't to be like, let's make up some new terms to make it more complicated. It was to protect you guys, to understand, like, listen, I'm not in the gay community. I'm not in the LGBTQIA plus community. I am heterosexual. So if call me a cisgender man, a cisgender woman, so that when people are approaching me, they understand that my sexuality is I'm heterosexual. It makes sense to me. But if y'all want to let it go, I mean, be expected for anyone from any other sexuality to approach you, but then that's offensive too. So then how do you work with that if you don't want something to be specified about, what it is? What does that look like?
This is a conversation that needs a 6-part episode.
And I really did want to have this conversation because I do feel a lot of ways about it. And I don't want to push how I feel off of anybody. And I want to hear what people have to say. But I just think it's very logical to say, hey, listen, I do not like tuna salad. Do not give me tuna salad, right? But, you can give me salmon salad. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, there's things that I like and I don't like. I'm not going to be offended because you gave it to me. You did not know that. But once you tell me, I'm responsible for knowing that this is what I do like and what I don't like.
And vice versa. We respect that y'all do the protection, different titles. Not everyone is like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is like that. Just like not everyone can respect how you want to be identified, pronouns you use. Not everyone does that. Most people have good intentions, but not all.
Sure.
With some people, when they say cis or cisgender, it's the same as fish. Hear me out.
True.
It's the same as
true.
And if I can respect with how you want to be identified, how you live your life, vice versa.
But you know what I can do, remain teachable?
Hmm.
If you say I don't want to be called cis, you know what I'm going to do? I'm never going to call you cis woman. I'm going to say, yo, that's my homegirl. That's the woman that I know. I'm never going to say that's my cisgender friend. Y'all never even hear me say that. But I just feel like there's certain places where people are just being very petty. Y'all never heard me say cisgender on this channel at all. I'm like, oh yeah, my cisgender male, my cisgender Chi-Town. Like, y'all never hear me say that. So there's something behind this conversation that doesn't make any sense, because nobody's running around just saying that cisgender.
Some spaces they are. You'd be surprised.
When they went in the sexual spaces.
Or just everyday life, walking down the street. You'd be surprised.
I don't think it's that. I think it's in the
not
sexual
happening.
spaces.
It's not happening. It's just not happening.
But hear me out.
So when they want to pretend like they didn't know that was a trans person they had sex with, and now all of a sudden, I didn't know that this was a cisgender person. To me, because real talk, no one is running around saying, oh, cisgender. No one's running around saying that.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I don't know how to explain. This is why I didn't want to come up, but I did.
I'm listening.
Just like you have good and bad people in every group,
right.
Good people with good intentions, bad people with bad intentions. It's the same thing in every circle. 80% of the time, most people mean well. Others, they don't. Words are used to hurt. The way you guys are explaining it makes perfect sense. I get it, but not everybody is like that.
Right.
In some cases, it's used as a derogatory term.
And
Like,
that's okay. Y'all have to hold the people who use it that way accountable and stop asking the people who use it appropriately to accommodate people who abuse it. Like, just like some women use the term bitch as a term of endearment. And some people use it as an insult. But y'all not asking all women to stop using the term bitch.
Right.
Like, you're just going to hold those accountable who going to abuse the word accountable and allow those who using the term in the way that it's acceptable to use the term.
And just realize it was a word to protect y'all and not to hurt y'all. Period. Like it was. I think that's the main conversation is like cis was never a thing to disrespect women. I want to say black women because I don't feel like white women are even concerned about this. But it was something to protect black women in spaces. They were in LGBT spaces. And so when we were around and we know we have bisexual people around or men around in our spaces, like prying on these spaces, hey, this is a cisgender woman, it's a trans woman, because when trans women go home, sometimes they don't come back. Okay. And so there was a differentiation for that conversation because we want them to come back home. And I for me, the word cis is way better than a trans person going home with a man and never coming back.
That part. I'm gonna give you another reason why a small percentage of it is a problem with the healthcare community. Science. Anybody who studies science, okay. When they look at the term cisgender, it's simple. Even though it explains a female, it's very simple. The word woman explains the being, whether it's XX or XY, it explains the being, encompasses the whole. Cisgender as a science term is just simple. It just means XX. So when you talk to those people in the healthcare community, that's where you can find a lot of the issues too.
But that's also where you open up your mind and find out why it's being called that, and then having an understanding so that you don't have to be offended by that when you are hearing, like, listen, it wasn't to be offensive, it was just to say, listen, when we're in the gay spaces, again, these are cis women and these are trans women. So when you want to go home, you know what type of woman you go home with, and then like it should be left there. Like it shouldn't be an offensive thing. Like, listen, because they could have been like, listen, it's a woman, and then when they got home, they're surprised. Whoever came, some would have went home and came back alive. Some might have not, but they're making it specific for you, so for the guys, so they understand what is going on. I think that the bigger picture is that people don't understand the plight of transgender people and why they have to specify so many things, because they are unalive for multiple things. So we do get that you guys are offended by the word, but the bigger picture is it's not even for y'all, it's for the transgender people. So they go home after they have interaction with men.
Here's the thing though, like it's for everyone. It's literally for everyone. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not following. I'm trying to follow you or remain teachable, but your doctor's job is not to understand the entirety of your being. They literally are scientists. Your medical doctors are scientists. They're not your pastors or your ministers. They're not your civil rights activists. They're not there to understand the entirety of your being. And the term woman doesn't tell me anything more about you as a female than the term female tells me about you as a woman, in terms of your personality, in terms of your worldview, in terms of your education, in terms of your ethnicity, in terms of your nothing. The terms literally are related to sexuality and gender. That's it. They don't describe anything nuanced about your existence outside of your biology and your gender identity.
You're absolutely right.
And y'all know y'all can support this channel as well. We've been on here for almost 3 hours. So y'all can support the channel by cash apps and all those things, super chats. But we've been educating people all night, and I feel like y'all should support this channel. What do you think?
So just pay him for his pain, baby.
Listen, I've been here and I've been at work for 2 weeks, 12 hours a day. Y'all can send me damn something.
That part.
I saw Miss Bernice. Oh, let me read what Miss Bernice said. Miss Bernice said, "What really got me is that the trans person would be offended if someone addressed them inappropriately, but you offended and I'm labeled transphobic when I tell them don't address me as cis woman."
Lord, have mercy, Father God.
Miss Burn, let me go back. I know y'all heard what I said. I need to go back and read what I said.
No.
I don't think that Miss Bernice. I think we're missing a lot of perspectives of this conversation. To be honest,
it's not perspective, Deb. I want to tell you the hard truth.
Okay.
Biological, heterosexual males and females are not interested in understanding the LGBT community, which is why they intend to misunderstand. Like literally, for everything that LGBT people can say, they have a rebuttal, they have a resistance, they have an offense. And once again, they did it with they're doing it with the term cisgender, and they did it with the term fish. And even when LGBT people went and explained and broke it down to a hooked on phonics level, the issue now can't be comprehension because you've heard from the horse's mouth what it actually means. You don't want to accept it. You want to resist it. And there's not anything that biological male and female, heterosexual biological male and female are actually saying that they're going to give back to the community. It seems as though they're the ones who want all of the accommodation. They're the ones who want to take up all of the space in society. They're the ones who want all of the language appropriated to them and leave queer people actually with what, to be exact. Because when these discussions come up, it's all about them. Yeah. It can't be about us. We can't have no seat at the table. Yeah, it can't be no part of the plate that's reserved for us to eat our food off of. It all has to be about accommodating their privilege and accommodating their existence, because they've had the privilege, once again, of existing this entire time without having to give a damn about queer people, what queer people thought, putting respect on queer people's name, considering queer people, seeing queer people, none of that. So I don't care what biological male and heterosexual biological male and females try to act like they not. I know that the issue is homophobia and queerphobia, and if any of these people are as open and loving as they claim to be, then we wouldn't even be here to begin with. This would not be a contention amongst the parties to begin with. And once again, I'm trying to hear how are biological heterosexual men and women going to accommodate the LGBT community?
I want to say this. I don't give a fuck what's happening right now. I want to say to the people who are upset about this, y'all are holding us back as Black people. We are so fucking divided as Black people, and now we have this cis now. Like, it's dividing us so fucking much. If y'all would just cut the shit and come together as Black people, like, y'all, we could be so much farther. And we're sitting here talking about the word fucking cis. Like, it's not even, and no disrespect to anybody that's in this chat, no disrespect to you, Remain Teachable, but we are literally fighting for a dumbass word.
Not just a word. Not just a word, SoDebNair. These people don't even want trans women taking a shit in a toilet stall next to them. They're fighting over porcelain.
But you can't even just carry it over to that. Black men don't want Black women to take a shit either. So it's not just this conversation. We as Black people have to fucking get our shit together. And I always revert everything back to the Willie Lynch law. I know it's not real, but I revert it back to that because what we were taught as Black people has kept us divided for so fucking long. Cis should be like a bitch. Listen, I always call cis and let the fuck shit go. But we are sitting here bitching and complaining about some shit. It don't matter. I don't want to be called a faggot. I don't want to be called somebody's bitch. Who's the bottom? I don't want to be called any of those things. But I took this. It's never been like national news or social media worthy for any of this stuff. But the things have been happening. At what point do we like let this shit go and become Black people together and like come together and actually fight for some shit that really matters. Because right now we're just doing bullshit. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. And I really want to just, I want to be white. I'm playing when I'm saying that. But I'm sick of this shit because we are taking small things and magnifying these things and making it something that it's not. Listen, call me cis, bitch, jish, kish, osh, bosh, gosh, whatever the damn kid shit is. I really give a fuck less. When are we going to come together as Black people and like fight for our own rights and have stuff for us and stop worrying about little and small shit? Because it doesn't make any sense. White folks do shit all the time and they be like, okay, gay people doing stuff, let them have it. The reason why Black gay people have rights is because the white folks. Black people are still trying to figure out whether gay is even right or not. And it's dumb. Who gives a fuck how you feel? And the Bible says women should shut up. Are women shutting up? No. So then just all let's speak and have intelligence and come together and do things that make sense for all of us. Because the reality is that without the other parts, we lose. We don't have shit. If the rest of the Black community cannot come together, it doesn't matter if you gay, straight, woman, man, cis, cisgender, whatever the shit is. We have nothing if we can't come together. That's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Call me a fucking water bottle. Can we come together as Black people to fight the battle and make it make sense for us as Black people so we're not paying all this rent that doesn't make sense? Are we living in communities that support us? Are we not being abused by the justice system? How do we do those things? We should fight. If y'all want to fight this bad about Call Cis, why are we not fighting for our rights as Black people? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense.
Exactly, because Black folk and Black queer people ain't got no damn rights. So we need to be focused on other shit. But we are but we major in petty at this point as a community, as a Black community. We major in petty. So as long as our priorities are all jacked up, the white man will continue to prevail in the system that he created.
And they're changing it day by day. We was light skin and dark skin, good here, bad here. Now you gay, you straight. Now you cis this and you cis that. Who gives a flying fuck? When are we going to come together as Black people and like really battle out what we need to battle with our real life situations? This division is going to always make us be below the belt.
When are we going to do that? When, real talk? Can we talk?
We can talk.
When we do that? Real talk?
Mm-hmm.
When we go back to what it was before desegregation happened?
What was that?
Before desegregation happened.
See, CP talking about, does the Bible talk about cis? Either like the Bible talks about women shutting the fuck up, stoning people to death because you cheated on your husband. Do you want us to stone you to death? Like why are we even talking about
the Bible? Like, a girl, do you know that?
But if you want to talk about the
do
Bible,
you know that
I would rather be called cis than abide by what the Bible has said.
The Bible, girl, women had less value than cattle in biblical days. Cows and horses were more valuable than women in biblical days. What? Let me shut up.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when you bring up and I believe in God and all that stuff, y'all, but don't do this. Like, because if you want to compare cis to the Bible, baby, I don't even know if CP is a woman or not, but you should shut up according to the Bible. And if you don't, we should stone you to death. So let's not do that.
I mean, according to the Bible, we run shit, especially when we had periods. Wasn't even allowed in the church.
And that's why, like, I mean, I've married a man who was a pastor. My mother was a pastor. So I'm very familiar with the Bible. And that's why when people bring up the Bible to me in conversations like this, I'm like, well, do you even know what it says? Because you are if you shouldn't be saying that mother thing. You should be shutting up and cooking food and hopefully
and
don't
not
cheat on that
define my
man.
authority as a man.
Yeah. So
we're not gonna do the Bible.
Shut down and stream your
If we do the Bible, or we gonna have to do all the Bible, and not just the selected cherry parts that folk be picking through.
All of it, including the books that was omitted.
But I just want to challenge people to just change their mind frames when it comes down to these conversations, because yes, cis might not be something that you want to be called, but also understand that it's something to protect you as a woman. Also understand that, you know, to protect our trans people as well, so that they have opportunities to be like, listen, if the man wants a trans person, listen, he can have one. He knows what he's going to get, and vice versa. I hate that this turned into to this conversation. I don't think no trans person wants to have a fucking period, or because where's the if you as a trans woman, if that baby with your penis hole, baby, good luck.
Wait, what?
If the baby got to come out of you, because you know they turn the penis into the vagina.
Mm-hmm.
They turn it inside out. So if they're trying to birth the baby through that, baby, good luck. But I don't think anybody that's trans is trying to do that.
But here's the thing, Codell. The trans woman didn't tell not one damn lie. She literally said, biological women do not gatekeep periods. And what she was doing was being inclusive of trans men who also have periods as well. And she was also being inclusive of women who have never had a menstrual cycle. That was never a part of their femininity. That was never a part of their womanhood experience. And I had women who actually came up on my panel the other night who were like, yeah, I have a cousin who's never had a period. Like, she had a condition, she never had a period her whole life. So when Just Hilarious, in a poor attempt to stand up for biological women, and got triggered up by this trans woman saying something that she didn't even say, she actually backhanded and actually kept out of the space a lot of other biological women whose womanhood never involved the menstrual cycle. And then when she said biological women do not gatekeep womanhood, she was right, because every woman's womanhood is different. A Black American Christian's woman's womanhood is different from a Middle Eastern Muslim woman's womanhood. It's different from an African woman's womanhood. It's different from a trans woman's womanhood. It's different from there's disabled women who have an entirely different womanhood than able-bodied womanhood. Like, all these things around belief and orientation and ethnicity and nationality all shape what is being called manhood and womanhood. So she literally said nothing wrong, but Just Hilarious, big forehead, indignant ass got up there looking for an opportunity to feel like a victim because she's the one who's misinformed. She's the one who's uneducated as hell and made a damn fool out of herself. And now this whole shit between Black trans women and Black bio women has been triggered up as a result.
Well, I think she's trying to stay on the Breakfast Club. So she's trying to create controversy so that she can stay on, because the more controversy that she does get, the more that it creates content for the Breakfast Club. To be honest, she's not a good co-host. I mean, that's just true. They're trying to be Angela Yee, and people didn't even like Angela Yee. So with her doing this, she's causing division, because Charlemagne, even though people hate him, he's very pro LGBT in his own asshole. And even DJ Envy, I mean, they roll in there smacking Charlemagne's ass in the damn radio station. So, but what she's doing is she's creating division. When they're going to cancel that show if they keep her on that show, because she can't keep making these statements and doing things she's doing and then not taking responsibility. Just Hilarious, I've never thought she was hilarious at all before she got to the Breakfast Club, because she's not funny to me. Only thing I thought was funny was when she didn't have the wig on, and I saw that she looked like Gutta from Bad Boys Atlanta. That was just hilarious to me.
Mm.
I just wish that all women, Black women, trans women, would know that their open enemy is white male patriarchy that Black cis hetero men borrowed. That's who your enemy is. Your enemy ain't each other.
It's not. And as soon as they understand that, the better we can all be. I think there's a lot of work that the Black men have to do as well. The gatekeepers and all that stuff will be the good gatekeeper, because don't just birth us and then leave us out here on this fucking earth doing bullshit. Like, lead, though. If you want to lead us, then lead us. And I feel like because of this whole trans thing, like, birthing is just, that's it. We just birth the kids. And that's we create. But no, we are in a battle as Black people, period. Slavery and, you know, all those things, it's not over yet. Like, we are still battling the battle. And as soon as the Black women that are having these conversations want to say, you know what, let's turn this back around and come together and let's fight this battle together as all Black people, whether you are Black, brown, yellow, dark skin, yellow skin, transgender, whatever you are as a Black person, then lead the charge. But lead the charge in the right way. Don't separate us and then try to lead the charge. It's never going to work.
Agree. Totally agree.
We cannot win divided.
Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. Yep. And those are just facts, but you got everybody, but you got all these claustrophobic folk who is fighting for space and fighting each other as a result. And I really just don't feel like our community is going to get it together until we just heal ourselves. And
what does that look like, though?
It looks like us, first of all, understanding our history so we can understand what the fuck has been done to us. Because once you understand what's been done to you, it helps you to observe your own trigger responses, and it helps you to understand why you move the way you move in the system, why you move the way you move in your body, why you move the way you move in proximity to other people, because you understand the system and how it has influenced and impacted and trickled down to impact your anecdotal existence. And then once you understand your history, which will lead to self-awareness, that's when you can start once again to make those observations and to challenge and to heal your perception of the world, when you understand who taught you this and why they taught you this and what the spirit was behind this, etc. So I would say healing starts with education, and then the education can lead to accountability, because it can lead to deepening our self-awareness. And the more you become self-aware, the more you mature, because you are actually now actively observing your thoughts and actively observing your behavior, and actually able to understand the context of your behavior and take accountability for that behavior, which leads to stopping toxic behavior and toxic thinking.
Macy's, but you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What do you think that looks like?
What? I'm sorry, I had tapped out. What looks like?
What I think us coming together.
What does healing look like?
Yeah, what does it look like for us as the Black community?
As a Black community, as a whole, or
as a whole?
That's healing for us. First, we have to decide where we want to start at, because there's a lot that needs to be done.
So let me ask. So where do you think we should start at?
Where should we start as healing as Black people as a whole?
Like if we all as Black people sat down together and said, listen, we all have all these differences, but we are trying to reset and then come back together. What does that look like?
Ooh, that's a broad question. Where would we start at? I think with mental health.
Okay.
Mental health. I mean, we can all come to the table and put down what our grievances are, but how can we work as a group when we can't even heal ourselves?
Hmm. To me, I think that it starts with, I would say, therapy, but
Yes.
also understand that we have to deprogram when it comes to
Okay.
us. Like this whole situation that we're even talking about today sounds crazy to me. And I feel like as an adult, me sitting around thinking like, oh, people are calling me the F word, or even the word cis is offensive to me, sounds wild to me. When we have a lot of other issues to deal with. So for me, I gotta I want to, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to rationalize with myself and realize like maybe my small issues are not as big as I think that they are, because we have a bigger fight. One, I need to figure out why us as Black people cannot come together and even accomplish one fucking thing. What's happening
We
here?
why we know
Huh?
why we haven't put it to action. We know why. First, we have to work on ourselves to get over that,
But if we know why, then why are we still not doing it?
because we still believe in the doctrine that we're not as great as we are. We believe in what we've been trained. We're not ready
But
to
but
move
but
forward.
but then how do we change that mentality though?
How will we start? Like a town forum?
Like, what's the
A,
first step? Like, what do we do for the first step to change that?
mm, self, family, community. Self.
Mhm.
You have to know who you are, where you're trying to go, how can you affect your community. Town halls, bring up the major problems, come up with solutions and put it into action. We have to get
I think the first step is just checking myself, because and that goes for everybody that's a part of this community. My how I feel is not how everybody else feels, and
mm-hmm,
my experiences in life are not everybody else's experiences, and I cannot put my experiences off on everybody on this planet that's Black and expect them to understand that this is how I feel. I also can't put my experiences and make them solid as, hey, this is the end of the beginning of the end. I need to be
mm-hmm,
open to other experiences for other people, because I came here as an individual, but there's also other people that are here that look just like me, who have life just like me, and they have lives that make our community. Because for me, I just feel like when things happen in the community, the LGBT, they be there, the first people that's on the line. So I'm gonna sit there and think like, yo, when I do realize that, I know they are there. Um, if I'm a younger person, I'm still there. And I think that like as a school teacher, I'm realizing like the biases that we do have, they don't have those biases. Our generation is struggling with this a lot for whatever reason. I think because Big Mama said that this is what it looked like. But the reality is that Big Mama didn't prove any of these things. And honestly, she probably supported, like my grandmother, she marched for gay rights. So I never really experienced the what is it? I want to say discriminatory or something like this. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't experience people being rude or mean to me because I was that. My mom didn't, like, because she was a pastor, but it took her 3 days, she was over with. But we have a walk to do, but we cannot walk by ourselves. We have to walk together when it comes to fighting for our own rights and things that we have going on in America as Black people. And if we can't, we're going to be doomed. Whether you are cis or trans, we're doomed because we can't even get it together for stupid ass names. Don't call me cis. And we having a whole battle on the internet about cis. Why are we not battling about, our rights as Black people? Where's our reparations? Why are we not battling about that? Like, we're just battling about dumbass shit. It makes us look ignorant. I hate it. I'm sorry.
I would say, look, there are definitely pockets of our community that are definitely fighting for all the right shit. And at this point, that's probably where y'all gonna see me at most of the damn time, because I just don't have time to keep we don't have time to keep dragging people who don't want to get it to it. Like I like, it's exhausting to have to drag a horse to water and then have to be burdened with like forcing them to drink from the well. Like, it's just too much. So I'm at a point where it's like I don't want to fight for nobody who don't want to be saved, and I don't even care to even have nobody in my space who is like, who don't get it. So at this point, what I prefer is everybody to go to their respective corners. If you got that much of an issue with trans people, stay the hell up out their comment sections, stay the hell up out of the beauty salon, stay the hell up out of the gay they drag shows, stay the hell away from them. Like, if you don't like queer people, if you only want queer people when they tap dancing and shucking and jiving for you, just keep all your energy and take that elsewhere. Just leave queer people the hell alone. It's that easy. Like, I just want everybody to get in a corner at this point. But see, the problem is people trying to hide their cake and eat it too. They want to be transphobic, and then they want to access trans spaces. They want to be homophobic, and they want to access homosexual spaces and homosexual people. They want both sides.
And you just can't have that. And it's fucked up for our community, again, because how do we grow as Black people in that type of space? Oh, yeah, I want to be around you when it's convenient for me. But when it's not, you know what? Fuck these people. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And the reality is that we are the biggest. I think we have more people over here, and we are like the dumbest people over, because we can't even fight for each other and win because we're so fucking divided. I'm over it, to be honest. I'm not fighting about no cis, bitch, just gish, ash, bash, kabash, anything else. Whatever y'all want to fight about it. You know what I'm saying? I am done with this conversation. And whenever people want to come together and be Black people and really fight for a damn cause, call me when y'all get ready for that part. Outside of that, I can't. I'm done with this shit because it doesn't make sense.
I think
if
we
it
all
makes sense to you, I don't want to talk to you.
no parts. I think we all should just go to the basics. Let everybody live their life. We're all human beings in one race, and we're all trying to live our best life. Whether you accept what they do or they don't, just let people be who they be. How does what someone else do affect what you do, or how you live, or how you pay your bills? Respect how somebody else live and keep it moving.
The only issue with that is this: when it comes down to us having to fight together, we're all separated. So then it doesn't make sense. Like, you know, when Breonna Taylor died, yeah, we fought for a little bit, but then it was over with. There's no consistency in the Black community. When Trayvon Martin died, yeah, we fought for a little bit, but then it was over and we let it go. There's no consistency because there's too many Black people for this not to be a thing. And we're sitting here now fighting about CIS, the words, 3 letters, CIS. We're fighting about this. It doesn't make sense. And if we can't fight for big things or small things, then what the fuck do we fight for? Together.
You do what you can as an individual and impact your community in the way you can.
Individually, we don't win. Individually, you don't win.
But you build a team around you. You don't have to think like that just because that's how the majority is. There are people you can bring along with you to make an impact. It's how you choose to do it.
But we've seen that. But the whole Black community, even when we were doing the stuff during the pandemic, there were still things. Oh, y'all, are you gay and you Black? I mean, you Black and you gay. You Black and you gay. You Black first and then you gay. Why the fuck did it even matter? Why was I even there? Like, there's just so many things that are happening in these spaces that doesn't freaking matter. And it turns people off from these spaces because it's like, do I have to be Black first before I support this situation? I just I don't know. I just feel like it's a hard battle to fight. And I think that the more and more this goes on, it's exhausting and you just don't want to fight anymore. I think when I heard about this cis thing, it took me to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just let the whole shit go and live my damn life. And I'm gonna just separate myself from the situation because why is this a thing?
Because everybody
It's dumb. It's dumb.
listen. It is dumb. People don't want to accept differences and move on. Your thoughts may be different than mine, but that don't mean we can't work together.
Yeah. But I mean, they're battling every day about this. And then you read the comments in the conversation, they're like, oh no, just Liz was right. Tasha K was right. Right about what? About discriminating against people? Like, to me, people have a hard time with dealing with our community. And for me, I feel like they're like, oh, y'all forcing on us. We're not forcing anything on anybody. If anything, we were forced from the heterosexual community growing up in our entire lives. We never are going back saying, y'all force this on us. We're just like, it was like.
Well, I do. I remind them hoes that they're the first ones who had a gender agenda and had a straight agenda. I remind the dominant society every time. And I find it funny that people talking about they agree with Tasha K. You agree with somebody who considered T.S. Madison a friend, jumping out of the window, completely disrespecting the shit out of her and her family, and then claiming that she was standing up for biological women while dragging a biological woman, which is T.S. mama, calling her diabetic, fat, big, etc. And then people saying, "Oh,
she dragged Just Hilarious too."
A mess. Yeah, and then was just dragging Just Hilarious a week ago.
Yeah.
And then before that was just dragging Just Hilarious like 2 months ago.
But that's why when I come
and then was just dragging Blue Ivy, an 11-year-old black girl, just
a kid.
That makes sense.
But that's why when I come on and I'm like, y'all, it's hard for me to come on. It's like, the support black women thing. In real life, I'm down for it. But on YouTube, it's just so different because it's like, it's hard to do it on YouTube because it's like the women that you watch on YouTube, they don't even support each other. And I don't want to sit around and like waste my time on a bunch of bullshit, to be honest. Like, I support y'all. You can look at all my shit on all my social media platforms. I deal with the black women all the time. I support them. They support me. We do the whole thing. But YouTube is a different situation. And I'm about to sit around and support Tasha K trashing black women and children all the time. I'm not going to support Just Hilarious trashing transgender people. Like, I just can't do it. It's like unbearable for me.
I can't do it either. As a human being, I can't do it.
Yeah.
No matter where I came from, I grew up in foster care, dealt with the worst of the worst. After that, domestic violence, rape, cancer, you name it, I've been through it. But you know what? I didn't allow it to change me. I treat people the way they treat me. I give respect. Every patient that sits in my chair, treated equally, no matter how much money they make, their culture, no matter what. You're a human being first.
But to even hear you say that, like, that's heartbreaking to me. And like, I want to get emotional, but that's heartbreaking to me because it's like, I want to come on and support, you know what I'm saying? But it's just so hard. Like, I want to come on and have fun, do stuff with people, talk about stuff. But it's like the more you do, the worse it gets. And I mean, in my supporters, it's women, and it's like it's hard because it's like I want to be supportive. I want to do those things on YouTube as much as I do it in my real life. But like you don't get the support back because it's like, oh, you said this, I can't do it, and I don't take it personal. But when it comes down to like all the conversations and watching the black women on YouTube like trash each other and dox each other and hate on each other, like it's hard to watch for me.
Just do you. Just be you. Just do you, be you, because you had a lot to offer, which is why I wanted to do the fundraiser with you, which is why I came on camera first with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that too.
I see through all the BS. Who cares what everybody else said? Who cares what other people's channels are. Be you.
But the other part is I'm an empath, so I take on everything.
Me too, but you got to learn how to work through that. Meditation, yoga.
I'm learning that. I'm learning that.
Yeah, because you gotta balance it and make sure that you are paying attention to the good too, because you will easily get discouraged and feel defeated, and it's really just because we're disproportionately observing the negative. When Christ said 2,500 years ago that the poor will always be amongst us, what he meant was not homeless. He meant the poor in spirit, the poor in attitude. Low vibrational people will always be on the earth. Problematic folk will always, a certain population of them will always exist. The goal is to have more people healed than not, and more people acting in a functional, loving, righteous way than not. But there will definitely always be a Jerry Springer sector of humanity that will exist. Even Christ prophesied that those people will always be there. So to remain Teachable's point, like, yeah, like as an empath, because I have to do it too. Like I have to shit. I'm gonna tell you, basically for this year, 2023, I jumped on YouTube to do my job and didn't haul ass. I ain't even watch other content creators. I ain't even like do none of that. I just did my job and hauled ass because I just have to protect my energy and control what I'm absorbing, because like you or like y'all, I carry it and I will hoard that energy around, and then it'll really like chip away at my optimism and chip away at my high spiritedness. And I don't like feeling weighed down and dense. I know that there's a time and a place for us to get into some things, but just like you, SoDeb, I would rather like reserve that energy for like shit that actually matters, and not just be exhausting that energy over goofy shit.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, yeah, I'm about to go to bed. I'm about to go to bed.
How talented you are.
It's time for me to go to bed.
Yes, it is. You've been yawning it up.
I know, and
thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Huh?
I said, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed the exchange. It was nice to meet you. Remain teachable, and I'm actually having a panel that I would love for you to be a part of. SoDeb, it's going to be half LGBT, half biological hetero, and it's a panel that this trans woman named One Love on my, who's a supporter of mine, she wants to have about space and what does it mean to, for people to have space and agency and all of that. So I'll keep you updated.
You know how come.
Yeah. Okay. So yes.
October Scorpio or November Scorpio?
November Scorpio. How you know I was Scorpio?
I follow you.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, come on, Sonny. It's nice. Okay, I can tell. Well, you need to hit the panel sometimes as many times as I be doing panels.
Yeah, November 13th.
She don't come on the panels.
Oh, okay. So a Bush baby. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. I've been drinking. That's the reason why I came up.
Got it. Okay. No, that's nice. That is a beautiful thing. I thank you for.
When are you doing the panel?
I'm figuring it out now. When are you off work?
On the weekends.
How do your Sundays be looking?
Is it gonna be like late?
No.
Sundays will be fine for me because I go back on Mondays, but during the week I can do it. I just have to be like earlier because I need to go to bed at a certain time.
Right. I mean, so what your Sundays look like?
I don't do nothing on Sundays.
Sundays, okay. Well, I might try to get it together tomorrow, technically, which is like this coming Sunday. So I'll keep you posted though. Like I'll keep you updated on everything. So.
Oh yeah, let me know.
Okay. Community, I want to be there.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna post on my community wall all of the deets and everything. So it'll have the time. I'll have the channel, the StreamYard link available, etc. And we can build from there. So just keep your eye out on that community wall.
And then I'll post it on my community wall too.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll work on that tonight so I can have it up and everybody can like be ready, set to go, etc. So, all right. SoDeb, and remain teachable. Good night, y'all.
SoDeb.
thank you so much for Teachable for coming up here. I know you don't normally do this. So, and
Mm-mm.
congratulations again on your graduation.
Thank you. I wish we could do a final push for more clothes for the kids.
Well, we might. I need to figure out the date that I can do it for the school. I'm trying to figure out how I can do it without like showing my job, because you know how YouTube is. But I'm trying to figure out how I can do it. And then once I do, we're going to talk.
Okay.
But I'm working it out.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that we do show that the kids got their uniforms.
Right. I wish we can do another one for Christmas or Thanksgiving or after the 1st so they can get fresh clothes.
Well, I'm going to do one. California Cutie, yes, we did hit the goal. I was planning on doing one for Christmas because I know that some of the kids don't get stuff for Christmas. So that was my actual goal for this Christmas time. So we'll talk about it.
Okay. Hey, cute.
Cutie said congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, y'all, I'm getting out of here. Thank you so much for Teachable for joining us. I will check out my community tab. Once Constance give me information, I'll definitely post that. I think that this conversation needs to keep going because I don't want this to stop as something that is problematic, something that is really looking out for Black women, in my perspective, so that you don't get mixed up in something that you don't want to be mixed up in. And I'm gonna leave it at that for tonight, and then hopefully we'll have more and better conversations when Conscious sets me up. You got anything else, Remain Teachable?
No, just thank you for inviting me, and I think you should do like a 8-part series on this conversation.
Really?
Yeah, different panels, different speakers.
I'm thinking about this because I want to have the conversation about support Black women and what that looks like. And I've been saying this in a lot of channels where people are hating that I'm saying that. But I want to clarify that about what that looks like, because to me, I feel like you can support Black women, but Black women have to also support who are supporting them back. And it doesn't look the same all the time. So you might be onto something.
Yeah, I really think so.
I want it to be a fair thing, and I also want to be able to support Black women who are going to be like people that I should be able to support, and not like problematic Black women. And I wouldn't want people to do the same thing with me about supporting Black men. If I'm problematic, like I might not support this man. You know what I mean? So
it can happen. Like I said, you do 8, maybe 6 to 12 episodes. Each week you have a new special guest, different panel, different topics.
Yeah, I think I want to bring on, like, we're going to talk after this.
Okay.
You're in my head right now. You're in my head.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm about to drop you down in this line. I'm going to bed. But thank you so much. I love you. And I will see you in my next one.
Good night, everyone.
All right, y'all. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. Turn notifications, like the video, share the video, do all those things. I'm getting out of here. I am tired, but I love y'all, and I'll see you guys in this video. Bye, y'all.
Did it, I 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 did it, you did it, I did it, you